Hello, hello. It is me, your True Hill Phenom, SP3. I know it's been a while since you saw me, a whole 5 minutes, but I am here with another edition of Degrassi Dudes. As always, I am joined by the Spitter Mason to my Jimmy Brooks, Steven Jensen. How you doing today, Steven Jensen? Or should I say Steven Jensen 2.0? Because
Yeah.
man, look at this freshly shaved man here.
Yeah. The funny thing is, everyone's talking about that right now and all the stuff I've been doing, but like, y'all will see me with a full beard. Like when you watch this show next week, I'll have a full beard. like, I, I, I grow my hair so fast. Like, I'll show y'all just because, people were in the spotlight yesterday, but if you weren't there, like, I'm donating my hair in May. So I've got like
Nice.
real long hair right now. Like, I mean, it's like long. But yeah, so there you go. I usually have it tied up, obviously. But yeah, I'm donating my hair in May. The 20th anniversary of my mother passing away from breast cancer is in May. So that's kind of my big thing is I can donate my hair. It's kind of nice thing to do while I'm kind of celebrating her kind of thing. And yeah, but then the beard was just like I do no shave November, so like I shave fairly close down on at the end of October, and then this year I just like said screw it because it was so cold outside, so I just let my beard grow for like 3 months straight without really touching it. And then yesterday I just took a razor to it and just shaved all of it off. And then I jumped in the shower and like that warm water on my cheeks. Dude, it felt so good though. Cause like you usually can't feel it because like my hair gets so thick that like you can't feel anything underneath it. So like, dude, it felt so good. It actually felt, dude, like tonight, like while I was sleeping, I was like cold. I was like, why am I so cold? I was like, oh, it's because like my face isn't warm. Like I'm like used to having all this extra like insulation on my face. But anyways, yeah. So everyone get a good look, sink it in. In about a week, will have forgotten this ever happened because I'll have a full beard very soon. So. Yeah.
You kind of like looked like a hippie teacher when you had your
Oh,
hair
perfect.
down and with the blazer. Or I don't know. This is a deep cut for some people. I don't know how many people because we are here early, so it's the afternoon in the UK. If you ever seen the UK version of Shameless, you look like the Frank Gallagher from the UK version of Shameless. I would look it up because you look.
I'm looking it up right now.
With the long hair, he's like grizzled a little bit because you could see the 5 o'clock shadow because you're already growing back. But yeah, that's you nailed it right there. But
I'm looking it up right now. Oh, nice. Okay, this guy looks like he rules. All the pictures of him with like I don't know if it's a joint or it looks like a cigarette.
Yes,
but
yes, I think it is a joint. It's like a joint cigarette.
Cool.
I love Ace Shock with the comment music teacher. Absolutely, yes, you did look like a music teacher.
What a cool music teacher I'd be with a Legion of Doom T-shirt. And
absolutely,
yeah.
Who would not? Who wouldn't want a music teacher with a Legion of Doom T-shirt?
Oh yeah, dude. I remember having one teacher ever, and it was in I think the second or third grade. Maybe the fourth grade. I think it was the fourth grade. No, I can't remember now. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. But and I wish I could remember her name. She was like the student teacher. Like there was like the main teacher, and then she was there like learning how to be a teacher all year. Like
teacher's assistant.
Teacher assistant.
Like,
yes. And I wish I could remember her name. It was something generic too, like Johnson or Jackson. Or it was something pretty generic. But this was in the late 90s when WCW was like the biggest thing in the world, and we lived in Atlanta. And I'll just never forget like that she was into wrestling. It was like the coolest thing ever that like one of my teachers, we'd come into school on Tuesday and she'd be talking about Monday Night Nitro with us, the next day in school, like about like, oh yeah, awesome. Goldberg came out and speared the NWO. And we're like, it was like the cool. And I remember at the end of the year when we were giving everybody gifts, like you would give your teacher like a little basket your parents would like give you to give to your teacher and stuff. I gave her like like a VHS of like one of the WCW shows from that year, and she was like so happy that like I'd given her this and not like an apple. You know what I mean? Like, but anyway, I just remember that kind of stuff because it was so rare growing up that I had any teachers that like would have encouraged, watching professional wrestling. So
Very true. Very true. It wasn't always like that. Like the way I bonded with my teachers is talking about like basketball. That was like my thing. I used to be like the encyclopedia who, if you ask me like a player and I could tell you like, oh, he's averaging 25, 5 and 5. That's the kid I was in high school. I was like part nerd, but I can be at the sports table because I knew all the stats and stuff like that. So
I was the same way with I was the same way with baseball and like in the 90s, like especially like around when Cal Ripken broke the record for most games played in a row. I remember my teacher choosing me to lead the class in a project that was all about Ripken doing that. Like she used to ask us a question every morning about baseball. Like she'd start the day with like, who did this or who did that? And I was always like the one with like my hand up first. And she would always be like, let's let everyone get a chance before Steven guesses, because like she knew like I'd get it right away. Yeah, man, I know what that felt like. We were both, I guarantee you, if people knew what autism was like then, I would have for sure been on that spectrum somewhere, because I was like obsessed with wrestling and baseball and like didn't care about anything else. You know what I mean? Like that's still kind of like that now.
Yeah, that's how I was. I was obsessed with wrestling and basketball. Like that's all I consumed. I wanted to know everything about like the wrestling, like especially in high school. That's when I started reading like the Observer newsletter and reading old ones and stuff like that, looking up star ratings, like legit. Like you could tell me a match and I knew what they rated it. Like I was that type of kid. Like I just knew the most out there like facts and stats. Like that's how I was gathering it. And I was similar to that with basketball. I'm way far from where I was in high school as far as like my basketball knowledge. Like I have to look up people on my own team stats now because I don't keep up with that because I got 2 kids, I got work, and then I'll focus on the creating wrestling content and this. So yeah, I'm nowhere near what I am. That's why I like FMC, what I did before this, because being with Jeremy, I'm able to talk basketball and be able to get that part of me out there more and let it flourish. It's been hiding inside for my adult years.
Well, that's like this for me, this show. Like, but I was like that too as a kid. I was still like that with a lot of stuff, but like I get super obsessive. Like we're like, I'll learn about something and then I'll have to know like everything about it. And now with like Wikipedia and stuff, I can just get down these rabbit holes where you just click the next thing and the next thing, you're just reading and reading and reading and reading. Just a little off topic, and we'll jump into the Degrassi stuff here in a second. But I saw a kid on, I can't remember where I saw it. It might have been the news or something. There was this kid who he has autism, but he has this like, it's like legitimately like a superhero type ability. No one can explain it. Doctors can't explain it. Scientists, like just no one can explain it. But this kid barely communicates with other people. But if you tell him any date in history, it could be a few weeks ago, it could be 50 years ago, he can tell you what day of the week it was and what the weather was like. And he gets it every single time. It's the wildest thing I've ever seen. Like you could tell him March 4th, 1958, and he'll be like, Wednesday it rained. It's just like, and they'll like look it up. It's like, you're right. Like, and I'm just like, no one can explain it. I just thought that was like the coolest thing ever. Cause like people probably, judge him a lot because like he doesn't really communicate with other people. But then like you talk to him and it's like, this kid is a genius. Like I've never like it's really, really, really impressive. So I just wanted to bring that up too. Sometimes people that you think are like, a little unapproachable or maybe a little shy or quiet, like those people all the time are like absolute geniuses.
Exactly, because they get kind of obsessed with like knowing this stuff, so they are just on the money. You could just say something and they know it like word for word or stat for stat or number for number. Like it's very impressive. I think we do have a super chat.
We
I
do.
see here from Valava. Our boy is with us here.
Yeah, I'll pull that up.
Yeah.
Boom.
He says, "Hey, dude, saw SP3 catching Euphoria now. How's that? Also, weren't you doing a couples ranking last week?" Yes, we were. We started off with our couples ranking, and like we said last week, we're definitely going to come back to that. But you know, it's one thing to know the couples. We know we got a lot of like new fans here on Fightful Overbooked, so we're gonna go back to our character ranking. We kind of washed away our original character ranking on the first episodes of Degrassi Dudes, which you can catch on the Fight Talk _ Twitch channel, as well as True Hill Heat Wrestling Twitch channel. So we're going back to the character kind of ranking so we can kind of talk about the characters, and for new viewers to Degrassi, they can kind of get to know the characters. And then next week we're going to do a show here on Fightful Overbooked, and then over on the True Hill Heat and Fight Talk Twitch channel we're going to do a post show where we'll be able to watch an episode and kind of talk more about a specific character through there.
Yes, and because here on YouTube, we can't show the footage of the show. And so that way we can talk about it here, and then y'all can just follow us right over to our Twitch channels. And then that way we can watch an episode together. So that's going to be fun. It'll be a fun thing to do. I always like starting my Fridays with this, but this is an even better way of doing it. Also, and thank you, Follow B. Also, this is the guy who's with Paige, right? It is who he's saying, Olander.
Yes,
Lander.
yes,
He's saying that I look like this guy. Okay.
That was a great deep cut right there, Mr. Oleander. You don't want your girlfriend Paige to get jealous. That line by Manny is just so infamous. And to also answer Vala B, yes, I'm already all caught up on Euphoria. And I understand this tweet now. Somebody tweeted it out before I started watching the show that Degrassi had to walk for Euphoria to fly. And yeah, Jensen,
really?
You might have to get on this show because it's a deep cut in that it really goes. It has like the high school elements of Degrassi, but it really goes in depth about drug use and what it can do to a person. And Zendaya's acting is just tremendous, like especially this last episode of Euphoria where she's really going through it and on the run. Just the way they shot it, the colors, just cinematography wise, it's one of the best shows I've ever seen.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah, I haven't watched it, but I've seen I see like all the people talking about it, so it must be pretty good. But yeah, that's what I was hearing too, was that like Degrassi was kind of like Euphoria was. So yeah, well, I might have to get on that. We'll see.
It's a great show. I definitely would recommend it for anyone, and it's making me get more use out of my HBO Max, and not just for Peacemaker and Entourage reruns. So
South Park replays.
Oh yeah, South Park too. South Park.
I gotta watch the new one right after this. I'm gonna watch the new South Park. Actually,
after you watch it, you can watch the end of FMC that was just on. Me and Jeremy talk about it, and we talked about the first 2 episodes and kind of like the theme that we see for the series for this season so far. It's a good one. I think we both agree that episode 2 was better than episode 1 because of the joke that they drove home, similar to what they did in episode 1 with the pajamas.
Pajama time. Yeah. All right. Cool.
Yes. I do see Carl Andrews Jr. asking us, did y'all ever watch that music video Drake did with the Degrassi cast? Of course.
I'm upset.
Oh man, that was mark out status. As soon as he's like getting ready for the party and you see Spinner come in, like that was like I popped so hard. And then I realized what was going on. I was like, they showed up to a Degrassi reunion.
When they pulled up to the school, I was like, oh my God. Like, like they're actually doing this. Yeah. It's an incredible music video. It really is. The only gripe I have for it, and this is like a nitpick, but JT not being in it, I was like, wasn't
Shawn not in it too?
Shawn wasn't in it either. You're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
so
But I heard that in some of the interviews with the cast, I heard that they like Drake's people reached out to JT to be there, and he was so convinced it was fake that he didn't go. Like he was like, "Why is like there no one's doing a Drake music video for Degrassi?" And like nobody else I think when they were all there together, they like called
realize.
him or
Yeah.
something, and we're like, "We're all here," and like then I think he's probably like, "Oh wow, this was real. I can't believe it." Because like even Rick was in that. You know what I mean?
I know.
That was a
Rick,
great scene too, where all the dudes are running after him. Like that would dude. That's a great music video. Then you got Jensen on Bob for that too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That was a deep cut right there.
Yeah.
And Jay and Silent Bob, man. They were like the most known special guest cameo in Degrassi, the Next Generation history.
Yeah, it's wild. We talked about it with Alex last week, but this idea that Kevin Smith was this massive Degrassi fan as a kid, and then even like in the movie Mallrats, Caitlin, I think,
He brings it up. Yeah.
when she's wearing a Degrassi jean jacket. It's got like the Degrassi logo on the back of it in the movie and stuff too, which is pretty awesome. So, but Kevin Smith was such a big fan that he used his fame to get into the show and like get with Caitlin, the character that he had a crush on as a kid in the original series, which, I mean, that's goals, right? I do the same thing. Like if I had the opportunity to like get on my favorite show or movie, like if they invited me to be in Mighty Ducks Game Changers and like I got to like team up with Bombay, like, I mean, that would be, dude, me and Bombay going out to the bar and meeting moms that have kids that play hockey. Like, I mean, that's a
series right there. Like
that's the whole series.
Why wasn't that the Disney Plus series, Bombay and Jensen?
Yeah, that would have been the shenanigans that myself and Gordon Bombay could have gotten into. I mean, could have made for a good series. And I need to learn his ways because he really has a knack for, getting with women, apparently.
He like Jedi mind tricks the kid into believing like I'm a good guy. You want me to get with your mother.
Yeah.
You're gonna literally push me into it, even though it's what I want.
Yes. And then he eventually, inevitably, in all cases, winds up prioritizing his own goals and pushes away the relationship and forgets about the kid. See, that's the thing with Charlie is like, that's the main reason I'm so upset that Bombay isn't in season 2 of Game Changers, but it looks like they're going to do like a hockey camp type thing from what I'm seeing. So maybe
there's a trailer out.
No, I don't think there's a trailer, but I've seen stuff that like websites have written up about it because Bombay is not in it. Like they've made that clear, but I'm hoping what's happening is they're just kind of doing a new setting for this season, and they're going to do a hockey because Josh Duhamel is going to be like one of the coaches for this season. And I think what it's going to be is like a hockey camp or something like that. And then maybe that way they can just kind of like do that as kind of like that's the season. And then hopefully season 3, COVID isn't an issue anymore and they can get Bombay back and then they can like actually do the stories that they wanted to do. Because like Keenan says he wants in, Joshua Jackson wants in, like I saw Julie the Cat Gaffney wants in, Goldberg wants it, like all these characters want in and I want to see them, but I mainly only want to see them if Bombay is there. Like that's like a big part of it. Like if Charlie's there, we need to know what happened between the two of them. They referenced the falling out in the first season. Like we need resolution on this. My childhood needs to be satisfied here. Like my own childhood. Like I need to know what's going on in this. And if Bombay is never there again, I don't even want them to do season 2 without him. Like, but anyways, that's
they literally left a lot of loose ends, a lot of loose stories for him with the Charlie thing, with them not getting along and not talking. He never really got with the mom. Like they flirted, but he never had a kiss like he did with Charlie's mom at the end of the first Mighty Ducks movie. So you got to have the payoff there, and just him with the kids. It's just that was kind of like the best scenes with the kids was Bombay kind of teaching them how to play hockey. So yeah, I do agree. I hope that it's just like an isolated type of like season, and then they can get back to Minnesota and where they were and kind of resume things with Bombay.
Completely agree with all of that. And that's the thing. Like, he just won the team back. Like, he's the coach of the Ducks again, him and Evan's mom. And it's like that, like, now it's just now starting again. Like, this should be us seeing the revived Mighty Ducks that we've wanted for 25 years. And now Bombay's not there. But anyways, let's talk about Degrassi and these characters.
Absolutely. We're going to be talking about the Degrassi characters and ranking them. I'm going to share my screen here so we could show y'all the tiers that we're going to be choosing from here. I'm trying to see what they want me to choose here. Okay, we got this one here. We're going to share that screen there, and Jensen's going to help me out, and there we go. You guys see it. I don't know. Boom. Yeah, there we go. Boom. There is the list, the assortment of characters from Degrassi, the Next Generation, all the way to Degrassi Next Class. We got our rankings here. Where at top we got the upper echelon, the elite, if you will, of Degrassi characters, which is the Degrassi GOAT. We got a tier below them is great characters. They're not the Degrassi Coats. They're not the iconic type of characters that we all know and love, but they are still great characters. Then we got just under great characters. You're all right, but yeah, these are the characters that we like from time to time. The but yeah part means there are other times we dislike them. So they're very in the middle type of characters. Then we have deserve better. These are the characters that either deserve better writing, deserve better lives, better payoffs for their character. They just deserve better. We also have just below deserve better. Why did they even try? These are the characters of we don't even know why Degrassi even wrote them in. Did they have a purpose? Did they accomplish a purpose? Did they have a point? And then there is the bottom of the bottom, the always favorite. This is the ones that we're gonna drag, ladies and gentlemen. These are the toxic AF characters, like last week's couple tier. We gotta end things off with the toxic as AF. So we got our ranking. I don't know who's ready for this. Maggie's happy to see, saying, I will never get used to no beer Jensen.
Yeah. I was talking about it earlier, Maggie. Don't get too used to it. Next week on the same show, I will probably have a full beard. You can already see. I mean, it's already coming back in. It grows very, very fast. But if you like this, soak it in now. But this is like a once a year type thing I do, but I can't stress it enough. My face feels so good. If I didn't think I looked so different, like I would do this way more often because just how good it feels. But anyways,
this is as close to high school Jensen, since we're talking about a high school show. This is as close to high school Jensen as it's gonna get. I just don't know if he was a student or the music teacher.
Yes, facts.
I'm digging sports and things in the live chat as well. He seems like he is knowledgeable because he's even shouting out. He's like, Adam deserved better. Like he didn't care. So I want to hear sports and things. Any people that are familiar with Degrassi, when we mention a character, I want y'all in the live chat to tell us what y'all think. It's not just me and Jensen. We're gonna make this interactive. Y'all let us what y'all think with these characters if you know them, where they should go. But let's start off, Jensen, with the first face we got here. I did a little sorting out very quickly. I did all this work kind of putting the characters together by the season they were introduced, and then this whole site kind of shuffled them again this morning. But I kind of put kind of our main characters from like season 1 onwards at the beginning here. So we're going to start off, Jensen, with one of the characters that is very polarizing. If you know, because I've been doing my rabbit hole research, Jensen, of watching other Degrassi YouTubers that talk about the show, and this is a very polarizing character. Surprisingly, Emma Nelson, the character that starts it all, the link to Degrassi High. She is the daughter of Spike, who is, of course, gets with Snake, Mr. Simpson. You have that whole dilemma there. Her father has like brain damage. She goes to see him, I believe, in season 3. She has to deal with Spike and Snake because Snake is her teacher at school. She's got the drama with her and Shawn. They're on again, off again from season 1 all the way to season 6. She's got her friendship with Manny, where sometimes I think this is the main complaint about Emma's character is that she's very judgmental with Manny, whereas Manny I feel is a better friend. We had last week Alex, Queen of the Rings. Shouts out to her because she was a tremendous first guest for us to have, where she was talking about Manny stealing Craig from Emma, and I watched back the episode she was referencing, and literally it's Craig who picks Manny. It's not Manny forcing the issue. It's not Manny stepping in front of Emma. It's really Craig asks Manny to dance, and he made his choice between the two. Even though Emma had a crush on him, he had a crush on Manny. So even that one I kind of negate as a complaint. So Emma, judgmental. She's all about peace and healthy living, and she's an activist. What's your thoughts, Jensen, and where do you think she went?
Honestly, I think she, even though, I mean, here's the thing. When we get to pretty much every one of these characters, there's going to be like a downside or something we don't like about all these characters to some degree, because, they all cheat on each other in all their relationships. And there's a lot of stuff, a lot of layers to these characters. But I think Emma is an easy goat. I mean, like, I know we're starting off like that's going right to the top right away, but like without Emma, in like the canon of like the story of Degrassi between the original series and Next Generation, all that, it doesn't exist without Emma, with her being the daughter of Snake or of Spike, but Spike and Snake when they get together. So like, and like a lot of the stories revolved around her, and they followed her, and she was a long-term member too. She was literally the focus of the first episode of the show. They followed her through her attempt at going to college, and then after, when she was, and then we saw her get married to Spinner eventually, and
They told the full story for sure.
Yeah.
He was there from season 1 all the way to 9. Like there's only one other character that had a run from like season 1 like that, and it's the person she marries. So yeah, and I love Carlos Hernandez in the live chat saying the best moment was when she got the clap. Yes, after the whole drama with the school shooting, because she was the one that was kind of being nice to Rick at the time, and then he pulled out the gun, and then Shawn reversed the gun on Rick. After that, she was like mentally out of it. So Shawn leaves. She's left with no one, and Jade takes advantage of that and gets some head at the ravine and
starts giving out some bracelets. Yeah. You know what I also realized the other day, because I was watching some episodes on Pluto TV. I saw it was that episode where Connor meets up with the like World of Warcraft chick that he meets online, and it clicked for me. I was like, Snake went through this twice, because he was helping Emma with Stranger Danger, and then he was helping Connor with it because he was like Connor's guardian.
Yeah.
And I was like, so he had that happen to him twice. But anyway, what do you think about Emma? I think she's an easy goat tier.
I think you're right, only because of because she starts it all off. Like, she is the main character, the direct link to Degrassi High with Spike, and so much of the show is centered on her. I would love to put her down in great characters, because I feel like the next person we're talking about is better than her and more deserving of being in that top tier. So I'm willing to make the argument that Emma is just a great character. She's not a goat, because she is attached. She is best friends with the real GOAT of them all. But I gotta agree with Sports and Things, who says Emma has to be the elite for being the Genesis. So just on that point alone, although there are a lot of faults with Emma Nelson, she's a goat.
Yeah, but like I said, there's going to be a lot of faults with a lot of these people, and it is going to be stacked pretty top heavy here because a lot of these first season characters that we're going to be doing first, a lot of them are some of the best characters in the entire series. So like when as you're watching this, if we got a lot of people kind of towards the top at first, like trust me, it will be all over the place once we start getting a little deeper into but to SP3's point, like Manny Santos, like obvious goat. I mean, you got to talk about her, but like obvious goat.
Like obvious, like we don't even have to have the full discussion before we put Manny Santos in the GOAT status. She's another first season character where she's kind of just like the sidekick in that first season. She's there for Emma when she needs it. The very first episode, she comes in clutch as a friend because she's the one that tells JT and Toby, then in turn encourage her to tell Emma's parents that Emma's meeting a stranger from online. So she comes in clutch for her friend almost immediately. I told you about the whole thing with Craig in the second season, and he kind of stops going after her because he feels she's too young. Season 3, we see the complete evolution of Manny Santos, where she becomes an icon with the thong outside the jeans,
the whale tail,
the whale tail,
the Lita style whale tail.
She does like the whole makeover. She gets in. One of her biggest faults, of course, comes in season 3 because that's when Craig cheats with her when he's with Ashley and she gets pregnant. She goes through a whole ordeal. She has to get an abortion. Eventually, she does wind up with JT, but that's short-lived. She then gets with Spinner, right when Spinner is with Paige already. So that was kind of one of her common themes, is that she did get with a lot of guys that were already in relationships, unfortunately. Season 5, we have you're gonna save this video because I'm gonna be famous. Where she shows her boobs for Peter, who is filming her, and then he releases the video, giving her public shame. She gets back with Craig during all of this because Craig can only take advantage of women when they're at their weakest.
Hey, Toby was way worse about that. We'll get to that eventually.
Also true. She eventually that's so true. She eventually gets addicted to drugs because of Craig, so that leads to them breaking up. And then she goes through a whole ordeal where she's trying to pick her own school for college, and her dad is pressuring her. So to make her dad mad, she gets with Jay, and they have one of the best love stories in Degrassi because they're like complete opposites. You never thought of them together, but they grow together. She makes him a better man. He makes her a better woman. He helps her get the part in a movie in Hollywood, and they get together in Degrassi Takes Hollywood. And then she's more of like a recurring character for season 9. But like Carlos Hernandez said, a lot of character development for Manny.
Yes. Yeah. Great character. Very important to the show. Became just like so many of them, eventually like became a actress and singer, like just an overall just massive entertainer.
Renaissance woman.
Winds up with Jay Hogarth eventually, which was real random, unless you follow the whole show. Otherwise, if you went from like the first few seasons and then like didn't watch it again till the end, you'd be like, why the hell is Jay and Manny together? But it makes sense if you watch the whole thing. But yeah, easy GOAT tier. Unquestionably one of the best characters in the history of Degrassi.
Definitely agree with you. Next, we have another OG from season 1. We got Liberty Van Zandt, and another person that went through a lot of character development, but still stay true to who they originally were. Like she's a very smart, a do-gooder. She's a very much of a go-getter because like she was writing the school announcements for Ashley from like season 1. Then eventually she becomes like the class rep and school president. She has a big crush on JT from like season 1 all the way to season 4, where he eventually sees her for who she is, and they have one of the most tumultuous and Romeo and Juliet type love stories of Degrassi, as they get pregnant because JT wants to wear a Magnum condom when he got a needle dick. and it slips
Yep,
off.
that's actually what happens. Yeah,
I'm
that's
like,
yeah,
I
yeah,
wish
yeah.
that was just me just playing around, but that was legit the dialogue that they had. Like, you wanted to wear the Magnum, and it fell off. Yeah, he gets her pregnant. Then he starts selling drugs to provide for Liberty and the kid. So they made the decision to give him up for adoption. They break up because of it. JT gets with Mia, so you got a love triangle between them, and then eventually he chooses his oatmeal in Liberty over his meatball sub of Mia. And when he goes to tell Liberty that, he gets stabbed in the
Yeah.
back because he was at the center of the Degrassi Lakehurst rivalry that Mia kind of got him in because her baby daddy is from Lakehurst and she was from Lakehurst, so that caused the whole friction there. So, man, a lot to unwrap there with Liberty Van Sant, and we also kind of talked about.
We got both. We can do both of the two of them because they're very interconnected. Obviously, after JT's death, Liberty does some more stuff, including like that kind of weird romance she has with Damien.
Yeah, when Damien's with Emma.
Yes, yep. So we'll talk about that a little more when we get to Damien. When it comes to Liberty also, the weird thing with Toby for a second, which we'll also talk about when we get to Toby. And then she had the story where like when she went to college, the sorority like only wanted her for like to like check a box and have a black person in their sorority. And
because they heard her story about being a baby mama and have right. For adoption, so they're like, "Oh man, she's from a rough neighborhood and stuff." When her parents is like doctors and lawyers, like
she felt like she had to like almost like be a different person like around them, and then she like eventually sees through that and like doesn't join the sorority and stuff like that. So she has some more stories throughout. The last time we saw her was probably the wedding for Emma and Shawn.
Well, if you continue watching, she actually also shows up in Degrassi, the next class.
I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah,
I need to watch the next class strictly just to see the cameos from the OG characters. Like
honestly, it's one of the better reasons. And I feel like even though if you didn't watch like season 13 and season 14, you miss a lot of like character development for the main ones of Zig, Maya, Tristan, Miles, and Zoe. I think that you could still watch it from just Degrassi, the next class first episode onward. And plus, it's really easy to kind of consume like the 40 episodes because they're only like 25 minutes long. So you can kind of do like a bunch. You could finish like that whole series in like 3-4 days.
Yeah, I'll probably do that like this weekend. So as far as ranking, so I'll get this out of the way. I think JT is easy GOAT, like without really much conversation. He was like the comedy relief. He was one of the most beloved characters. Him getting stabbed is probably the saddest moment in the history of the show. So like JT, easy GOAT. Liberty, I'm on the fence about GOAT or great. She's definitely one of those two for me. I just don't know. I'm okay with either. I like her a lot, and she's the most, we've talked about it before, she's the most consistent, I think, as far as like, she's pretty much the same. There's a lot of character development, but like, if you watch season 1 and then watch her last appearance, like, you'd be like, nothing, she hadn't changed. You know what I mean? She's like, it's the same Liberty, like, the way she looks and acts and talks and everything. It's like, it's her just a little older. Like, it's the same, the same character.
And I think at the core, like, I think the reason that we give these three kind of the GOAT status is they also kind of keep their core values from like season 1 until we finally see them. Like JT, he always had the humor. He was the class clown. Emma was always the activist and always wanted to like do good, but was kind of judgmental. Manny is just caring and helpful and always wants to be loved. So they all kept those core values. I think like Liberty was never kind of, and this is something we talked about last week, just the black characters never got the attention they truly deserve. Like there was just something up with Degrassi where they never really truly invested in any of the black characters, and I think Liberty was a victim of that. So I would put her great characters here.
I'll go with that too. I think that's very fair. And that's definitely a thing. I mean, we can knock that out too real quick and just mention, like, because I saw this in the chat last week when we were doing the couples, and I saw quite a few comments that were like, Hazel and Jimmy were only together because they were people of color, basically. Like, and to be honest, that pretty much was true, because like they didn't do anything with the couple and they were together for like forever. And that seemed to really be the only commonality the two of them had. Like they didn't have anything personality wise in common. They were just together, and it just seemed like they were together only for that reason. And then you had other characters that would kind of like, they'd be getting a small push and then they would just be gone, like Chris and like Damien, kind of to a degree. And like there were others where I understand. Like I don't think it's out of line by any degree at all to like bring up that for whatever reason people of color did not get the same spotlight on this show as the white characters. I mean, it's like, pretty clear.
The only exception to like people of color not getting a push on this show is when we get to the Bandaris. Like that was like the first time that they like, okay, we're gonna invest in these people of color, and the Bandaris got character development, and they were kind of like the highlight of like season, I would say like 10 onward. It was like the combination of Sav and then Sav and Allie, that combination, they really like focused on more than they ever did for people of color. Speaking of people of color, before we get to Paige, we should, since we already are in that conversation, Jimmy Brooks, he's another one I would put. I think he should be a Degrassi GOAT because of what he did afterwards. But if we're just talking about his character on the show, I think he's a great character because after he gets shot, he really has some storylines and they really give him layers as a character. But before he gets shot, he literally, if it wasn't for a spinner, I don't know if they would have ever gave him a storyline, because they put him with Hazel and that was just a part of that whole Breakfast Club thing, and they were always connected, but it was more they were connected because their best friends Spinner and Paige were dating, and it was cool to double dates. That's it.
Yeah, 100%. You're right on the money. And it's funny because, now Aubrey Graham, also, of course, known as Drake, for anybody who might be watching this for the first time, doesn't know, that is Drake, the most famous, person alive right now. And yeah, he, that you're very right about that. He was just kind of more so like Spinner's friend up until the time he got shot. And then they never like, I know they explored it a little bit on the show, but I would have really liked to see more of. I was very interested in the whole story where Jimmy, and I can't remember her name, the girl he meets in physical therapy, who's also who's in the kind of the same situation he is, and she is about to go off to try stem cells in another country, and that was like a really interesting story to me because Jimmy then. Like basically he, if I remember correctly, he like takes like the money he was supposed to use for college, but he uses it so he could go get that done too.
Yep.
Trina, thank you. Sporting this, whoever's sporting.
Sporting things. I hope you come back every week because you killing it in the live chat. You and Vala B, like y'all are giving us a lot in the live chat. We appreciate the love, and you're informing us, so we always appreciate that.
and remember, he gets access to that money initially because he catches his dad cheating with like his assistant or whatever.
Yes, I forgot about that too.
Yeah, and then that was a weird story too because he covers for his dad. He like doesn't tell his mom like at dinner, and I was like, that's kind of messed up. Like I'd tell my mom like he's like that, like oh, that's kind of messed up. But
oh man, that's crazy. Yeah, I forgot about that because like I feel like I have to go back and watch a lot of like season 2 through 7 again because it's been so long since I watched like those seasons where I kind of in the pandemic watched the seasons I missed from like 8 onward. And then I just have been recently rewatching like 13, 14, season 12 and stuff. So I kind of have that very permanent in my mind, especially when we get to those characters. But like the early on seasons, I have to rewatch again because it's been a
Yeah.
while.
I really hope that in this reboot that they're doing next year for Degrassi, like they're definitely going to get the OG characters. Like I don't know how many, but like they for sure are going to get some of them. And if they can get Drake, which I think they might have an actual chance on, because like he seems to love the show. Like he doesn't like shy away. Obviously, we talked about the music video. He's not like too big to like, be a part of that. And I think if they could get him, that would be one of the biggest like wins in all of like Degrassi history, is like to see him walk on screen. You know what I mean? It's like Jimmy got like it, like the stem cells worked and like he can walk again. Like that'd be an incredible thing to see as a longtime fan, like a resolution to that. Like I know, well, here's the thing, because I remember in that episode too, the reason he wants to do it is because there was another guy in his physical therapy class who was in a wheelchair, and then he saw him walking around and he was like, yo, how are you walking? And the guy was like, I'm telling you, man, these stem cells, like I just, so anyways, I want to see a resolution of that. I think it'd be really cool if we did see Jimmy walk in the next, it'd be a good way to wrap up that whole character on the show.
I totally agree with you. Like that would be, and he is connected to HBO Max because that was one of the things I forgot to tell you about Euphoria. He's one of the executive producers. Him and Future are the executive producers for Euphoria. So he has that connection with HBO Max. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to say that it is an option for them to kind of give him a call and at least ask him. All he can say is no at the end of the day. Next we got here Paige, which I would say immediately the next three are very interesting conversations to have, but let's start with Paige. She's like a fashion icon of Degrassi, just her whole look from like season 1 and how she stood out. She was the antagonist in season 1, then she becomes the popular girl because she takes over the spot that Ashley had assumed before, after Ashley's this Jagged Little Pill episode. And you had the whole relationship with her and Spinner developing. Then season 2 is also the season she gets raped by Dean and goes through a whole psychological thing there. Season 3 really focuses on her and Spinner and the development of that relationship and kind of going through everything there. Season 4 starts off with her dealing with the trial of her of her getting raped by Dean, and that kind of is the line in the sand for the split between her and Spinner that happens later on in the season when he gets with Manny. At the end of season 4, we also have the Oleander and Paige storyline and how Manny is also involved in that as well. She goes into like season 5, she's still with him. That falls apart and he gives her weed after breaking up with her. Season 5 is also when she develops the whole relationship with Alex, which is really like her peak relationship, Alex, as we talked about last year, and that was like the first
last week,
excuse me, that was last year, last week, and that's kind of like the key first lesbian couple of Degrassi. So a lot for Paige, and then of course we have her in college. She goes out with this guy that has HIV at one point. She has the whole on again, off again series with Alex. She's living with Ellie and Marco after her stint in Banting goes terribly wrong, and she can't handle the pressure of being in Ivy League. And then, of course, there's Degrassi Goes Hollywood, where they literally forgot all her character development and took her back to Paige from season 1.
Yeah, 100%. That guy's name was Griffin, I think, that had the HIV.
Yes.
I just like the name just like shot in my brain somehow. But they didn't do a whole lot with him either. He was an interesting character because that guy like was trying to like use Jimmy like because he was in a wheelchair. Like that's like why he wanted to like get him like in his club to like rap and stuff. And like that guy was a little weird.
He was.
Yeah. But anyways, when it comes to Paige, I'm somewhere between GOAT and great. I think if she didn't, if Degrassi, if the Hollywood Degrassi had never happened, I'd probably have her in GOAT.
I agree with you.
But she was so insanely annoying in that Hollywood that it brought her, like you said, it just killed all the character development that they'd had up to that point. And at the end of it, she was nice again, but it was only after like she lost it all. Like, you know, so yeah, I thought she had it not been for a couple missteps, she'd be a GOAT. But I think she's just unlikable enough that she's got to go to great.
Next, we got a person that we have both said to each other that we have in high esteem. So I'm going to assume you agree with me. One of the GOATs, Shawn Cameron, the original bad boy of Degrassi. You can give us kind of some of your highlights of Shawn's character.
Yeah, Shawn's an absolute GOAT. We talked about it a lot. His first appearance where he shows up to class and Mr. Simpson tells him to tell the class about himself and he just says no. And then like Emma immediately falls for him, like immediately establishes that he's a badass that doesn't want to get too close to other people. His relationship with Ellie I thought was really good too. Underrated relationship in the series. Constantly an important character on the show, has a lot of character development. And, you know, even he has a lot of really unlikable moments, like when he steals Snake's laptop when he's going through chemo. Like
season 3 is like Shawn at his worst. Like when he first becomes friends with Jay Hogarth.
Yes, he's jacking vending machines for their Snickers bars, and he's you know, we find out that the kid that he deafened in Wasega, like he actually sucker punched him. It wasn't like how this noble thing that like people thought it was. But that said, Shawn always made up for it. Like even when he ran over the dude in the car, like when he was drag racing with Peter, like he went to jail, he did his time, like he obviously felt really bad about it. And the guy didn't die, but I mean, he could have. It could have been way worse than it was. But it's one of those things where, like, every time Shawn would mess up, like even when he stole Snake's laptop, he then gave him like free car repair on like something that would have cost way more than that. Like I'm not saying that was right. I think it's incredibly messed up what he did with the laptop, but like at least he was like, hey, this is going to cost a lot of money for you to fix your car. I can fix this for you without, you know, let me make this up to you. So like the only thing I didn't like about him, to be honest, was it was strange that he goes into the army. Not that there's anything wrong with going into the army, but they kind of like changed his character. Like when he came back and he was working out with Snake.
Sports and Things says it best. Shawn is another GOAT. Wish he could have gotten a real closing arc. Like that's not, the arc is obvious for Shawn. It's him and Emma.
Yeah, him and Emma should have been the one who got married, and the spinner thing just shouldn't have happened. That should have been what happened.
Yeah, like
maybe by the next series we find out that like Shawn and Emma had a divorce because like they realized that like they had nothing in common, and now Emma and Shawn are together. Like that would be cool.
I hope that's where we go, because that is one of the worst combinations they ever did. Another character with a lot of development. We have Craig Manning here, and only because of his toxic relationships and his devotion to music over how people felt, I'm gonna say he's a great character here.
Yeah, he just misses GOAT exactly because of those reasons. He was terrible to women. He was a super likable character, like 90% of the time. The best musician on the show, easily depending on what kind of music you like. But I thought he was the best, like actual musician they had. And obviously you can make the argument for Drake. But it was a little different then. Drake was kind of like figuring out his flow and stuff. Like Craig was like the front man of like every band on the show kind of thing.
And then he was even in Degrassi Next Class, he comes back and he's like, they talk about him like working Coachella all the time.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah,
I love that.
He's the judge for like the music competition for this special thing at Degrassi.
And then he also goes through like bipolar, and there's a lot of really important stuff I think that Craig He starts off as the creepiest character on the show because like when you first see him, he's literally like stalking Joey and his daughter who were
Angie.
about to Angie.
We're just immediately, as we're talking about Craig, we're gonna just say she either goes, "Why did they even try?" or "Deserve better." So what
Just why did they even try?
Yeah.
She's a pretty irrelevant
And
piece of the
actually,
picture.
if
Yeah,
I'm
she's
comes
a
back as
different character
another
later.
character who also is like, why did they even try or deserve better? Because they could have simply just made her Angie. They could have like, why did they have to make her a totally different character? Because it would have worked out better if you just said Angie is grown up and she's in Degrassi now. It would have made us more interested in the character. But if you have a character that's obviously a former character and you're calling them something else, it totally is just going to make the audience not even care about the character.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't see a whole lot of her as the other character like later on, but I was super confused when I saw that. Like when I was watching some of the newer episodes, if you will, and I saw like I was like, wait, is that Angie? And then they weren't calling her Angie. And I had to like look it up online. I was like, they literally took the same actress and just changed the character. Why would they do this? So yeah, I agree there. And yeah, Craig is, like I said, very creepy at first because he's literally taking pictures from like afar and photoshopping his face in with it says like My Perfect Family or something, and it's like him
but
with
you
them.
immediately start sympathizing with him when you see how his father treats him.
Yes, oh absolutely. Like he's getting beaten by his dad, and then like he stands up to his dad and like runs away, and then his dad winds up dying after an argument that they had. He gets in a car crash, and there's a lot of layers to Craig, and that is one of those things too where I'm not justifying how he treated other people in every instance, but like there was a lot of layers to that guy where like you could kind of give him a little slack when it came to certain things because it was like, dude, this guy's bipolar and he's going through a whole bunch of stuff. Like, you know, don't be so quick to judge kind of some of his outbursts. Because there's the one time he like trashes the hotel room because he's like not on his medicine or something like that.
Because I think he hadn't. Oh no, yeah, he stopped. You're right. I think he stopped taking his bipolar medicine.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah.
And then he beats the crap out of Joey as well in that episode.
I forgot about that.
The next episode, I believe it was, when he finally got home.
That's right. So, but then on the flip side, like he goes homeless at one point, and like that guy Skinny steals his guitar and all that, and he punches him in the face. So, anyway, yeah. That all said, absolutely a great character, Craig Manning.
Yes, and a part of so many love triangles as well.
And then Hazel is like, that's just like a classic Deserve Better, right? Like, she was on the show. She was on the show forever, but she was mainly just Jimmy's girlfriend, like most of it.
And Paige's sidekick.
And Paige's best friend, right?
Yeah. That's all she really was. Alex, this is kind of an interesting one where I feel like my immediate thought is like great character or you're all right, but yeah. You're all right, but yeah, because of how the character starts off. But like season 4, when she becomes like vice president to Marco, who's president, and starts, mixing it up more with like the main class and then the Paige and her relationship. And then she has her own thing where she's like has to become a dancer because her mom is out of work. So when they did focus on her, she gets a lot of character development and interesting storylines. But at the end of the day, they never really focused on her fully.
Yeah. She's definitely a polarizing one because I like her character overall, especially towards the end. I thought it was really interesting too remember there's an episode where she's running against Marco for class president. And she says to him, like, they can either vote for the queer or the freak. Guess what? I'm the freak. And then she does turn out to be a lesbian. So like, it's kind of like, it was just interesting if you go back and watch that, how that all wound up playing out long term. But yeah, I gotta go. You're all right, but yeah. Because there was a lot of really, really bad things about her at first. For the first few kind of seasons we saw her, she was mainly with Jay, and she was mainly making fun of, she was basically bullying people. But then by the end of it, I remember there was the one girl who she plays lacrosse with, like way later on, that's like doesn't like her because she got bullied by her, and Alex bullied so many people she didn't even remember. So I feel like because of that, she can't get all the way up to great, but she did redeem herself to get to like we liked you, but
yeah, she redeemed herself with the Paige relationship, so that's why I was looking for Jay here, because I think he's the same. Like he literally has no redemption until he gets with Manny. So I think, and then when he's with Manny, I like his character so much more. And actually, it really started like it was the same season. Yeah, the same season that he gets with Manny. Before that, we kind of see the relationship and the friendship between him and Spinner that makes him more likable. And then him and Alex develop like more of a friendship outside of their relationship after that happens. So he becomes better, but like those season 3 and season 4, he's responsible. He's part of they're responsible for Rick shooting Jimmy. He's the
main reason.
Yeah,
being honest. Yeah.
He picks on Rick relentlessly. He's homophobic to Marco. He's the one that kind of is the devil on the shoulder of Shawn when he steals Snake's laptop. Like every bad thing that happened on the show from season 3 through season 5, including Emma getting the clap, you could directly point to Jay as the reason for that. But his redemption arc is like, it almost gets him at the great character tier.
Yeah, it's close, but like he's literally like, if the last few seasons didn't happen, he's all the way down in Toxic AF. You know what I mean? Like, so there's got to be a balance there. So like, because if I remember correctly, the first time that they even showed Jay on the show, I could be wrong, but I think it was him making fun of Dylan for being gay. Like right off the bat, it's like he establishes himself as homophobic, and then it just keeps getting worse with all the stuff that you just said. Yeah, he was just ultra toxic. I mean, he was the heel of the show. I mean, just straight up, like he was the main heel of the show for, I mean, outside of the short pocket of Rick, you know, being a school shooter, which obviously that kind of trumps everything. But like, that's we're on the same page. Like he would have been toxic AF, but then he does turn it around with Manny. He becomes friends with the Stoods guys, and he, becomes a good guy by the end of it. He's like really loyal to
sacrifices a lot for Manny, even from the beginning, like faking the relationship to help her and pissing off her dad. Then he eventually helps her get into the school there that she goes to for the art program, and then he eventually helps her get the role at Hollywood. So, and then his whole friendship, like you said, with Stooge, with Spinner, he fully, and even with Shawn, like he had to deal with Shawn finding out that he gave Emma the clap, and Carlos Hernandez calling us out saying, "But can't forget he told JT to sell drugs." Yes, he did. He did all of that from season 3, 4, 5. Yeah, if his arc just ended in season 5, Toxic AF, Carl Andrews Jr. calling us out, wouldn't that make him toxic? Like I said, 3, 4, and 5, he's almost at the top of the list for Toxic AF, but 6 and 7 through 8, he redeems himself.
And he does turn on the homophobia a bit over time too, because like Alex winds up being lesbian, and like he winds up eventually supporting that and stuff. Like, we're not saying he's a perfect character, that's why he's down in the all right, but yeah. And then the selling making JT sell drugs. I've talked about it on the show before. That was the most savagely ruthless line, I think, in the history of the show, when JT is like, he's like throwing up because like he's so like ashamed of himself for being a drug dealer, and he's telling Jay, he's like, my girl is leaving me, I'm gonna lose my kid, I'm a drug dealer, I owe this money, I'm gonna lose my job, like I'm gonna lose it all. And Jay just looks him right in the face and says, "Bummer times, at least there's a party." Like, because they're at the ravine, and then JT tries to overdose like right after. So yeah, absolutely horrible human being. But until they do turn him eventually.
Yeah,
So.
Carl Andrews Jr. saying he redeemed himself a little. Yeah, that's why he's not in great character tier like at all. Like literally, he like season 6, 7, and 8. It's the difference between Toxic AF and You're All Right, but yeah, he would not be in Deserve Better. He would not be in Why Did They Even Try?
Exactly.
He would literally fall all the way down to the bottom tier. It automatically, if it wasn't for those seasons. Real quick, we kind of go through like shorter characters. Like this guy, he was friends with Jay. He gets into a fight with Shawn, and then eventually he's a part of the crew with Jay and Shawn. Why did they even try?
Didn't like Liberty try to like go out with him one time?
No,
like,
I think you're thinking of Chris, wasn't
no,
it?
I'm not. Well, no, I think there was like like a one episode thing where like
she tries to get with all the black guys. Yeah, she started like listening to I think like either it's like something or she likes him because he's bad. Like there was a period where they would just try Liberty going after the black guy in the class.
And he might have even liked her. I can't remember which way it went, but I just remember one episode where like she gets rejected or something or other, and like he's right there, like but yeah,
I think she tries to get with Shawn or something, right?
Yeah, she tries to be like a badass with like a leather jacket for like one episode. But that's definitely why they even try. Like he wasn't toxic, it was just kind of an irrelevant character.
Yeah. We got Moose here. Bruce the Moose. Another one. Why did they even try? In my opinion. We got Layla, who we've talked about before, who just lies and tells Mia a secret just to get with Danny, and then eventually she gets played by Chantel and takes Danny from her. Why did they even try? And that's another one. Like I said, like I talked about Degrassi and their the black characters, and then Steven corrected me just in general with people of color. The Asian characters got it such the short end of the stick. Ridiculous.
Do you remember that Chester kid that they tried to push for a couple episodes?
Yes.
Or Spinner's completely forgotten sister.
I think she's at the bottom here.
Yeah.
Why did they even try? Like, oh my god, I put her in toxic by accident. But
she would have been toxic.
Why did they even
remember? The only thing she did the entire series was she dated Toby. Like that was it. And she wasn't at Emma and Spinner's wedding or anything.
We're just going through all the Asian characters. Zane, another one. He's actually better. I would say slightly better than Layla and Spinner's sister, where I put him in Deserve Better because he had a good storyline. They just never fully gave us an arc for it.
Yes, I think he was genuinely probably like the nicest person on the entire series. Like he was like, I don't know. There was something about that guy that I just really liked, that he was just so comfortable being himself. He really tried to help Riley throughout like figuring things out. And he like he stuck up to the football team who was making fun of him and stuff. Like, so he's definitely, it's like you said, all we really got from him though, like the only story he had was basically him and Riley. Like there wasn't anything, we didn't really get him developing as a character on his own at all. We just saw him trying to help Riley pretty much.
There's a couple of these like characters here that are literally just here to be in a relationship with someone else. So I'll pick some of those out. I immediately saw Kelly. Kelly is the guy that goes out with Emma in college and gets her and starts her smoking weed when she's referred to as Blaze. Yeah, he just why did they even try? Blue, he's the one like Holly J's first love interest, and
pointless.
It's literally pointless because he has no personality at all. Jack is actually kind of, I think she becomes like a main character, but she's literally just here to be Imogen's love interest after her and Fiona break up in season 12. So she's kind of just there, but why did they even try? They made her like a dancer. She smoked weed, but they never really focused on her character. It was only about her and Imogen. Who else do we have? Oh, let's talk about a toxic character I immediately saw because he's literally just here to do just fuckboy shit. Luke Baker. Luke Baker is
Oh,
is
yeah.
most famous for raping Zoe Rivas, and that immediately gets him in Toxic AF. But he's just a horrible character from the very beginning. He's a part of the hockey team that just are just stupid jocks, and him and who is it? Dallas. Him and Dallas are kind of like the antagonists of like season 12 to start off. But Dallas gets a redemption arc. This dude just gets worse. Season 13, that's when he rapes Zoe. He is released and he goes through his whole trial, and he basically tries to convince his sister to lie for him on trial so he could stay out, and his parents are in
His
on it
parents.
too.
Yeah.
Just the worst parents he has, and he is one of the worst characters from those later seasons.
Yeah, that's an easy toxic AF. And if you want to just throw another easy one in there, we got Trashley Kerwin right up there towards the top. We can
the
slide
head
her right in there.
The head. Go ahead and explain to the people why Ashley Kerwin, one of the season 1 OGs, I was saving her a bit because I knew we would automatically put her there, but tell the people why she's toxic.
Yeah, we don't have to get on it too long. Here's the thing with her, right? Like, she was always jealous of everyone else. It didn't matter if it was like that girl group, I think PMS. She had a couple different groups, I think, throughout, but there was like every time that it looked like anyone was going to have any success that wasn't her, she would like try to sabotage them. Like, didn't matter if they were their best friends, didn't matter if it was her boyfriend. She tried to box Jimmy out from like being a part of that music, and he's the only reason it was any good to begin with. The ecstasy thing, like I'm not going to downplay doing drugs. Like, I'm not encouraging people to do drugs, but like, she did ecstasy once. Okay. It's really not that big of a deal. And she said a bunch of stupid stuff to her friends while she was on ecstasy that, like, I think 99% of people would be able to just like face their friends afterwards and be like, look, I know I said a bunch of dumb stuff. I really don't mean it. I don't do drugs, and I took ecstasy and it was stupid and I just didn't mean that stuff. But instead she goes emo for like an entire year and like can't face her friends. Is jealous over Toby, jealous over wanting to be the school president and do the announcements over Liberty. Just always jealous. Like,
jealous of Paige and not understanding when Paige is not trying to be her toxic self in like season 1, when she's trying to help her realize her father is gay. She doesn't respond to that very well. She's very toxic to Jimmy. She wanted to break up with him just because the dude didn't have his parents at home and wanted to hang out with her. Like, she was like, oh, he's too clingy, I want to break up with him. Like, from season 1 on, she's like toxic. Yeah. And like, she gets a little bit of redemption going like goth and hanging out with Ellie, and then the first bits of her relationship with Craig, and she's really the victim of that whole relationship with Craig, but it's really because she doesn't really want to talk to him about she's not ready to have sex. Instead of having that conversation, she kind of teases it and then pulls it back and keeps playing with his emotion, which makes him turn to the girl that just wants to do it. Like,
yeah,
he's a high school boy. What do you expect? So yeah, and then eventually she gets back with Craig and then leaves his ass to go to London.
Yeah, with that Alistair, it's like this random Alistair guy, like, and then that doesn't work out either, probably because of her. Like, she wants to, like, she comes back to Degrassi and they're like, what happened? And she's like, well, it was good, then it was bad, and now I'm back. And it's like, yeah, probably your fault.
Yeah, probably your fault. You're the toxic one. And then she eventually convinces Jimmy to go after Ellie, who he just has a crush on, but's not going to reveal his true feelings. She pressures him into doing that. Yeah. She rejects him, or says that she just wants to be his friend. And then she takes advantage of him and gets back with him, only to find out that he is more musically talented than her, which a whole character became about music from season 2 onward. Oh my god. It's really hilarious how much of a toxic character she truly was. The fact that we have to place her above someone, a rapist, We have to put her above a rapist.
I don't know if that's fair. I don't know if we can. That's. I don't want to say that she was worse than a rapist. Okay, but she was on the show the entire time. I mean, for years and years and years. This other guy was like, I mean, that was like the only thing he did on the show, really, right? I mean, like that was like his whole character was for that one story. Ashley was just straight toxic the whole time, but she never did that.
She never committed a crime.
Yes.
But because she had so much camera time, she is slightly more toxic than Luke. But there is one character that is even more toxic than Ashley. And yes, I am talking about Rick.
Yeah.
He was just there to cause issues. He was abusive verbally and then physically to Terry. To the point that she breaks up with him. He convinces her. Well, first of all, he was stalking her because he was looking at her from a distance and leaving flowers for her secret admirer. And then he got with her and did all of that. Was abusive. She broke up with him. He convinces her to get back with him, and he pushes her down where she goes into a freaking coma.
Her head hits a rock on the way down. It's brutal.
Then one season later, he comes back. He gets picked on. They try to make him sympathetic, but even in him getting picked on, I don't think anyone felt a great deal of sympathy for him. And eventually he's tarred and feathered at the Trivia Bowl challenge after he wins it for Degrassi, and that completely makes him snap, where he goes home, he gets a gun, he brings it to school. He is gonna go mayhem on the bullies, but then Spinner and Jay talk because they see him in the stall and act like they don't know he's there, and they say that it was Jimmy that basically set him up. He shoots Jimmy. He goes to shoot Emma, for no reason, only because Emma was nice to him and he felt like he was leading her on. And then Shawn has to step in the way, and Shawn kills Rick. Rick never got redemption. He is the most toxic character in Degrassi.
Absolutely. You nailed it. I mean, not only was he beating Terry, he beat her so badly that she went into like a coma and then was never seen on the show ever again. And she was a main character up to that point. And then of course the school shooting and everything. I mean, yeah, I felt so bad for his mom. Like his mom on the show, like at the funeral and stuff, and like, yeah, that was rough to watch. But anyway, yeah, go through some more of the ones that were like kind of irrelevant that I might not know a lot about. Just like throw them up wherever.
All right, we got Hunter's friends from Degrassi, the next class. We got this dude. He's kind of like his flamboyant gay friend. Why did they even try? No, actually, I'll put, because he's the better of the two of Hunter's friends in that class, so I'll put him in deserve better, because they only gave him like one storyline where he gets in, like he hooks up with Tristan, and then that's it. And then his other friend Baz here, why did they even try? Like they gave up on Indian characters after the Bandaris, basically. Saad, first he's like Maya's friend who takes photographs of her, like taking photos of her acting like she's dead with like bleeding and then in hospital beds in season 3. Yeah, because basically Maya is mentally messed up after there's a Degrassi school bus crash. Like her and Tristan are most affected by it. Tristan goes into a coma and she's just mentally like not there anymore. And she starts thinking about death a lot and starts watching like death videos. And he's a photographer that likes unique artsy pictures. So it's like simulated death where she's at the back door of Degrassi and she's got blood all over her. And she's acting like she's dead. He takes pictures of her in like a hospital bed. And he's actually the one that opens the back door of Degrassi so she can get up to the roof to OD on pills in season 3. There's a lot.
Does she OD? Like, does she?
No, she comes close, but it's Zig and his girlfriend at the time, Esme, that find her and they take her to the hospital and she's all right. And then in season 2, they kind of all are like, Zig's not messing with him, Tiny's not messing with him. They kind of try to like bully him. He gets a job at Lola's family restaurant. And at the time, Shay is looking to go to like this get this enhancement stuff for her track career, and she steals tips from Lola's restaurant, and she thinks it's Saed, and he like becomes the outcast, and he starts like looking at like rebels type of stuff because there's like different like terrorist acts that's going on, and they think because he's outside the country he's a part of it, and there's like a bomb threat
What?
yeah,
Okay.
and there's a bomb threat at the prom at the end of the year, and it's because Esme is jealous because Zig decides to go to prom with Maya, but no one knows that, and Lola gets Yael, one of other Hunter's friends, to kind of wipe Sid's computer clean because he didn't realize what he was like looking up with like the terrorist type conversations online. Like he didn't want to tell anybody because he knew people would think that. And she cleans off his phone, but she also takes a picture. So when there's the bomb threat at the school, no one thinks it's Esme, and she goes to the cops and shows them the pictures, and he gets arrested. So he's not messing with anyone at the end of season 4 until they eventually find out it was Esme, and they all apologize, and he kisses Lola. So they give him a nice closing of the next class. But he was a character they gave a lot to in that last season, but he definitely deserved better because they completely were like racist to him.
That just sounded crazy. Everything you just said. Wow. There was a lot to that. Yeah, I'll have to see that for myself eventually.
I'm telling you, there's some good bits of this whole Degrassi, the next class. Cody is a person. She's a good character. She probably just deserves better because she didn't get much storyline. Rasha. Ooh, Rasha is a good character, but also I feel like she deserved better because she was kind of just there to be Zoe's like first official lesbian girlfriend. Yael, another one. She's the first basically gender fluid character in Degrassi history where she's referred to as they and them. But she goes through a whole metamorphosis in that season 4. But like Hunter just treats her like trash. So it's not even the writing really. I feel like they could have done more with her in season or the earlier seasons before season 4, but the way Hunter treated her, that's why she deserved better. And then where's Hunter? Hunter, I'm gonna put in toxic because he's a pretty toxic character from like season 1 of Degrassi the next class. They kind of make him the villain because he basically is in this game. He starts like a gaming club. There he goes. He starts like a gaming club where he's like the head of gaming club, but this gaming club like does like it has like visuals of like men with weapons kind of killing women. So the feminist club doesn't like it, and they have to like they try to tell him to like play another game, but he gets so offended by it, and Maya's a part of this feminist club. He starts cyberbullying Maya and basically calls like a fake SWAT team to her house, like, and that's like a federal charge.
Oh yeah,
and,
swatting. I know. Yeah.
He like does like a swatting to her. They eventually find out, and he's taken out of school, and then he makes like a death list because he's like so upset, and he brings a gun to school. Thankfully, Miles gets on the phone, his brother Miles Hollowsworth, and convinces him not to do that. At the beginning of season 2, he's going through mental issues, so they institute him into a facility. He gets out in season 3, and he starts developing the relationship with Yael, but when Yael wants to be gender fluid, he doesn't know how to deal with it. He breaks up with her and doesn't accept her, and they never clearly like gave him an arc where he finally does accept it. That's how they ended it in next class. So he's toxic.
You said he's Miles' brother also?
Yeah.
Okay. I know who Miles is, but yeah, Miles, that guy sounds toxic AF.
Hunter is definitely toxic AF in Degrassi the next class. Esme is another type toxic character, but she has a lot more depth because basically they tell the story. She first gets with Miles, and she's kind of used as his like distraction from the whole Tristan drama, but when she gets with Zig, they kind of reveal kind of her backstory, that she found her mom ODing, and that's like been like a mental thing for her ever since. And they have a really strong relationship in like season 2, season 3, Zig and Esme. But and then season 4, they get into like this three-way love thing with Frankie Hollingsworth, Miles' sister. But Esme's whole character really changes at the end of season 3 because, like I said, she and Zig find Maya on top of the roof ODing, and that brings her back to finding her mother, and she's just completely screwed up in season 4. Like she only gets with brings Frankie into the relationship where they become a throuple because she wants to keep Zig, but Zig is always going to be for Maya. So when he eventually decides to not deal with Esme's craziness, she calls in the bomb threat. She also buys like a motorcycle at the end. She's like completely losing it at the end of the season to the point where they kind of have to like get her help and tell like the school counselor to like she needs like mental help. But she deserved better because she has a very layered and interesting character. But those first 2 seasons of Next Class don't really focus on it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm not going to know anything about any of these Next Class kids. So,
so that's why I'm trying my best to give you a small synopsis without going too much into it. Frankie Hollingsworth, she's kind of toxic as well. These are twins. They're considered twins, Frankie and Hunter, but she's very needy. Yeah, I want to put her in toxic. Yeah, I'm just gonna put her in toxic for now. Maybe we could change it after you see Next Class. But now we could talk about a character you do know. Let's tell them the highlights of Spinner Mason. And it automatically GOAT status.
Yeah, he's definitely GOAT status. He was on the show like longer than like pretty much anyone on like a consistent basis. He went from like kind of like the overweight bully kid who like. The reason his name is Spinner is because when he doesn't take his Adderall, he or I guess it's like ADD or whatever he's got, it makes him like a little crazy. Like that's why they call him Spinner. When he doesn't take his medicine that one episode and he moons the whole school, like that kind of stuff. He had his relationship with Paige was like one of the best relationships towards the beginning of the series. I mean, there's a lot of development. The only downside to him really was his involvement in Jimmy getting shot. But then, like, you know, he does do everything he can to make that right. And he didn't want anything to do with that to begin with. He just got kind of caught up in it. I mean, all the different hairstyles, you know, like he just
like
constantly changed.
You know Spinner by like what hairstyle he had in the series in each season. Like he had the fade first, then season 2 he like grows out his hair a little bit more. Season 3 he has the blonde hair. Season 4 he has the wild all over the place hair, and then he has the side bang. Season 5 he goes back to kind of like more of like the normal look. Season 6 he gets shorter hair. Season 7 he has cancer, so he goes bald. Like
yeah, he goes mohawk first, and then he shaves it because he gets in some fights. Yeah, he goes through testicular cancer. He gets shot at the dot like during a the dude's like
stick up. Yeah,
it's like a stick up, and it's him and Holly J in there. And yeah, I mean, we could talk about Spinner for an entire hour and just like all the character progression he had. But then he also sticks around later because like he's a part of the Stoods. He's above the dot manager, all that stuff. Marries Emma eventually. I think he's the best character in Degrassi history. Like that he'd be my rank for like the best overall character. I know yours is Manny.
But I can't argue with you too much. I mean, that might be next week's episode. Y'all can let us know if y'all want to see me and Jensen debate Spinner versus Manny for the GOAT. We won't do the ranking here, but I put them 1 and 2 because it's a very close one. So if y'all want us to do who is the true Degrassi GOAT debate next week between Manny and Spinner. We'll do that then. But I do agree he is in that GOAT status. Sports and Things also with two great comments saying Esme is toxic with a reason. That's why she's up in Deserve Better. And he says Last Exit is a banger. So let me bring up the writer, who I say is second behind Craig as far as the best musician in Degrassi, and I'm talking about Maya Matlin. I'm just saying, like, I know it might take you a while to watch like the whole next class, but go out of your way and just put up Maya Matlin music. Like, she had some bangers in the later seasons. But she's really kind of the GOAT of the latter seasons, but she has a lot of faults to her. So unlike Emma, who gets by and gets in GOAT status because of her, although she has her faults, because she is that connection to Degrassi High, Maya does have a connection to Degrassi, the next generation, especially when she's in next class, because her sister, you are familiar with, her sister is Katie Matlin. So there's kind of that connection there, but she has
Who's Katie Matlin?
Katie, I think she's introduced later on in season 11. I'm trying to see if I see her down here. I thought
I know Maya mainly from that relationship with the hockey with
Yes. So yeah, that's one of the cuter relationships, and then her and Zig. But I'll put her in great character because I feel like the way we're going here, only like season 1 characters are getting that GOAT status. Zig is another one who I say great character because he had a lot of development. He starts off as kind of like the kid that doesn't have all the money of the other kids around him, like Maya, Tori, Tristan. His family owns like just a convenience store, a bodega. He has to like steal money and scrap, and he's embarrassed of it. Then he becomes like he goes through this whole, he's a part of the love triangle with Maya and Cam. He's the last one that talks to Cam, and it's kind of the triggering point that makes him commit suicide. Then he goes through the whole redemption arc where he feels like he's the reason why Cam did that, and he kind of closes off things with Maya saying, I'm ready when you're ready, but take your time. Then in season 13, he's a bad boy because he felt like Maya forgot about him to get with Miles, and he starts doing like gang stuff with Tiny. He starts living with the Vince Bell, the Vince that's a part of the storyline with Drew. That's actually Tiny's brother, and he starts living with him and selling drugs for him.
Interesting. Vince is the dude who eventually accidentally shoots Adam at the dance.
Vince,
right?
Vince. Yeah. So Zig, in a lot of ways, he's like the new Shawn, and that's the best way I can describe it. Zig and Maya are the Shawn Emma 3.0, because 2.0 is Claire Edwards and Eli Goldsworthy. Claire, like, I'm sorry, this is the only one.
I'm okay with her I've seen enough of her to know that she's the main character once the main people that I grew up on left. Like, she winds up being the main character, and of course, being Darcy's sister, she's an overlap where we saw she just started off as like the nice little Christian girl who like didn't want to see her sister get in any hot water with these pics online and stuff, and she completely transformed. It was interesting to watch her go from like super like mega reserved to like kind of, I'm not saying it's a bad thing to have morals at all, but like she kind of started not like, especially because like her parents wind up getting divorced, who like were telling her all this stuff, and she doesn't really like trust them anymore, and like, she grows a lot.
Yeah, it becomes an whole arc. Like, she first gets with like KC, and she doesn't want to like get with him at first because she wants to just focus on school and being this pure girl. And then after she gets with KC, she kind of becomes boy obsessed. Like, Jenna takes KC from her, and then season 10 starts, and she meets Eli, and they go through their whole on again, off again with the whole Fritz thing. Then she breaks up with him. He crashes his hearse. They are on the outs when season 11 starts, and he starts trying to mess with her with the school play. He makes a whole school play about her. She gets with Jake, who winds up becoming her stepbrother.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah.
Like, yo, there's like so much. And then like season 13, 14, she does a lot of a lot of stuff. Season 12 through 14 that just pisses me off with her. Where I'm the Emma conversation. Where does she go down to great character? But she does go through a whole lot. Like she has cancer in those last season. She
Yeah.
gets into Colombia, but then gets pregnant. And she had slept with Eli and Andrew in weeks apart, so that becomes a whole love triangle, which she doesn't know who's her baby daddy.
Who
Then
winds up being the baby daddy?
huh? Eli.
It does wind up being Eli? Okay.
Yeah, it
Because I
winds
never
up
actually got that far to know that. Okay.
because Eli gets with his editor at film school at NYU, and they go on like the outs with each other, and then like a spur of the moment, she had been like flirting, and the tension was there with Drew, but like they just went full, like they had both had feelings for each other, and they just like have sex at a school dance, and then Eli comes and like talks to her and convinces her to get tries to get back with her, but she's like, no, it's over, and tries to move on with Drew, and Drew feels like he's just a rebound and turns her down. So
They wind up giving their kid away, right?
no, she loses the baby.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't. I just knew that because I have seen. I have like a gap there where like I'm fuzzy on what happens, but I know that they didn't have a kid. Yeah. So I guess I assumed that they had given it away. I never saw them raising a kid together in any of the later episodes that I saw. So that okay, well that's a bummer.
Yeah. I popped Eli up here because he's a great character. He's kind of like Craig 2.0 in a way, because he's like, instead of his art being music, his art is like writing and movies, and he also is bipolar, so he goes through a lot of character development from season 10 through 14, but the majority of it is his whole relationship with Claire here.
Yeah, I like Eli as a character. I like how he like his parents were like the radio personalities and stuff, yeah. and he's a hoarder. Like I kind of am too, not to that degree of like what he does on the show, but like he doesn't want Claire to like see his bedroom, and like she thinks like something weird's going on, and it turns out he saves everything, but the reason is because his girlfriend died, and like
a car accident.
Yeah, and that's why he drives the hearse, and why he feels like when he throws things away that like he's like losing pieces of himself and stuff, and yeah, I thought he was a good character. The stuff with Fitz, he went too far though, because like there was multiple times where him and Fitz could have squashed that, and Eli was the one who just kept pushing and pushing and pushing until Fitz basically punked him out and pretended like he was going to stab him. And Eli honestly kind of deserved to get punked out like that at that point. He had like poisoned the guy's drink and gotten him arrested with a fake ID. Fitz deserved it at the beginning. Don't get me wrong. Like he deserved some revenge, but there were multiple times that you could tell Fitz was like, all right, man, I'm done with this. Like you've apologized. Like we're just going to move on. And then Eli would just do something else to keep pushing it. But I do agree. I think Eli was a great character. I think Eli and Claire are the two, and I guess Drew was a big one too that we'll get to. But like, when I think of the newer seasons after I kind of got out of it, Eli and Claire are the two people I think of first.
Yeah, so. I think Drew would be in like great character. I kind of want to go GOAT because he becomes like the focal point from season 10 onward, where like he starts off, he's kind of like an antagonist to Rally on the football team because they both are quarterbacks and he's younger and wants his spot, and he threatens to blackmail him and tell that he's gay to the rest of the team if he doesn't, so they prank him, and eventually Riley has to admit that it was him, so he's suspended. Then he goes through everything with Allie, the whole will they, won't they? They eventually get into a relationship, and he cheats on her by getting head in the basement from Bianca, who's kind of like his main love interest that he gets with in season 10. Then they get into whole drama in season 11 because of the gang, and she kills someone after the guy like beats the heck out of Drew. And then they are basically held captive by Vince. They go through the whole thing where Vince is kind of just with Bianca and holding her ransom. So he does. Oh, excuse me. I don't know
That's
what
right.
happened there.
Yeah, I'll whenever you get that pulled up, I'll pull it back on the screen.
Yeah, that's connection there talking about Drew. And then he gets with Katie Matlin after like the whole he gets jumped by the gang and he learns how to fight and Katie like helps him out of that thing. Then there's a whole love triangle between Katie and Bianca and him, and eventually he chooses Katie. And let me share this actually. There it is. Whatever.
There you go.
There you go. So yeah, Drew is like really the focal point, and then after he breaks up, he eventually parts ways because that whole thing with Bianca is like so much to go there, and we kind of talked about it last week. But after that, he gets into the whole love triangle with Claire and Eli, and they have a very good relationship. A lot of people like Drew and Claire more than Eli and Claire because Eli and Claire, like Sports and Things says, is very toxic, while Drew and Claire were kind of they balanced each other very well. But I would say a lot of his more crummier stuff from the early seasons, as well as getting with Becky, who was his brother Adam, who dies girlfriend. That's what gets him into great characters and not Becky.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've seen about half of what Drew does on the show. So, because like he also becomes like a politician or something, or like an assistant to a politician or
yeah, Miles' dad.
That's right.
And we've mentioned Miles a lot because he's connected to a lot of these characters. Miles, I'm gonna say you're all right, but yeah. Because Miles is Miles is I'm gonna say great character because they gave him a lot of development in the next class. He's kind of introduced, as this rich boy and in his relationship with Maya. Then there's a whole love triangle with Maya, Zig, and him. Then we find out that he's bisexual and he gets with Tristan, and then they have this whole on again, off again relationship. And he's really there for Tristan when Tristan goes into a coma after the school bus crash, but then eventually cheats on Tristan with Lola. He writes a play. He's a great writer. So yeah, there's a lot of character development in next class. So I would say great character for him. But what have you seen that you know of Miles here?
Not enough that I could go that far. I don't know. I mean, I've seen a little bit of it. I've seen a little bit of him, which I saw actually him and Tristan like starting to get together. Like they like realize like they're friends, but like they start kind of like testing the waters of like going farther than that. I saw his it was his house where
Zoe gets raped.
Yes, yeah. And that but he also like because doesn't he like carries her off to the room, right? So people initially think that he was involved, him and the kid with the glasses. But they obviously didn't have anything to do with it. They were trying to protect her, but like didn't do a good enough job.
Because Zoe takes off her dress and she's in her bikini and she comes on to Miles, but Chewie, his best friend, takes a picture and makes him stop before he kisses her, but he's in a relationship with Maya. So he then is a part of the whole trial and he has to testify and say, they actually get Chewie to testify and he's the one that admits all of that, and that's eventually the final breakup of Maya and Miles. But he's a great character. We got Alex, Queen of the Ring, in the live chat saying glad to see Ashley in that toxic panel where she belongs. She also says Peter better be next. So let's talk about the guy who becomes the goat of just causing drama and shit. Peter. Do we just throw Peter in Toxic AF?
Yeah. So the thing with him, it's interesting because it's almost like the Jay situation where like he's either Toxic AF or you're all right, but yeah, because he definitely didn't deserve better because he was like heavily featured on the show, and he definitely isn't a why did they even try? Because once again, he's heavily featured on the show.
Yeah.
I guess my question would be, and this is for you to answer, SP3. is he more toxic than Jay? Because I feel like Jay was like pretty damn toxic. They were toxic for different reasons though. Peter did have kind of like an arc, but he did stay fairly toxic even through like winds up doing like the meth and like, I mean, obviously he comes onto the show as like taking the pictures of Manny and then sharing them, and he's also the one that like gets Darcy to do OnlyFans pretty much, you know. Honestly, he probably does lean towards toxic. He does have some like redeeming qualities later on, but like I don't know if it's enough to get him out of toxic.
Helps Emma through her like eating disorder, but then he immediately makes you forget that when he plants drugs on Shawn.
Yeah, he did that too. Yeah, throw him in toxic. The like one or two redeemable things he doesn't make up for all the levels of toxic that he does. Yeah, I agree with that. You got to put him in toxic.
Yeah, like he honestly. I was saying like we at the top of toxic we have a 3-headed monster of abusive killer, Ashley Curran, the definition trashily, and then we got the rapist, and then we got child pornography distributor Peter Stone.
Yeah. There's not enough redemption. And like Alex says in the chat, like there was that. Yeah, we didn't mention that he does convince Spinner not to burn the school down, Jay. And then also, we were saying, Alex, before you got in here, that the reason that Jay bumps from toxic up to you're all right is once again because you can't put him in deserve better or why did they even try, because like he was so featured. But if this list cut off before his babyface turn, because he does have a turn and he gets with Manny and like he does become a good dude like by the end of the show, but if that stuff didn't happen, he would have definitely been in toxic AF. But he has enough of a redemption in the last few seasons that he definitely can't get into like the GOAT or great category because of all the toxic stuff. So
now I'm gonna real quick go on a rant here and go through some of these black characters real quick. So,
just throw them like all in the why do they even try and
one after another. Why did they even try? Miss Chantel, literally she was just a sidekick for Holly J and
she was there for a long time too and just didn't do anything.
She started off as a junior high. She was in season 4, and they never gave her a story except for eventually in her last season she gets with Danny. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, and she gets their their clubs back or whatever, right? After Snake has to change the school after the Fitz thing.
Yep.
But yeah, all I remember her as, to be honest, is pretty much the unofficial vlogger of the school when Declan and Fiona show up, because it was like a really cringe conversation.
Yeah. Damien, man, I want to put him in toxic.
Dude, he I mean, it's hard to get past the whole him base. I mean, he was a womanizer, right? I mean, like he was this dude who was like very intelligent and like one of like the leaders of the class when it came to like the student council and that kind of stuff. But he almost like used his smarts to like screw over all these girls.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say he's probably toxic, man. And he was also like, not that he couldn't stand up for his friends, but like it's hard to stand up for like it's like he had nothing to do with with JT getting stabbed, but he also needed to understand where these other people were coming from at the school, being like, we don't want y'all here because like one of y'all stabbed our friend and killed him. So like I don't know. Yeah, once again, Damien had nothing to do with that, but he was the one that was like representing Lakehurst when they were like putting the schools together. So
absolutely great points all around there.
Wow, Carlos says Damien was in 9 episodes and got with Emma, Manny, and Liberty. Now on one hand I'd say that's GOAT, but on the other, like it's toxic. It's very toxic.
It's very toxic. That might be the record. 9 episodes and you got with 3 of the main characters, like the 2 GOATs and a great character right there. You got with that. That is impressive, but still toxic. Danny Van Zandt deserved better. Like,
yeah,
he was there for a while and they never really gave him a story. Like his stories are all a part of other people's stories. And then when they finally gave him a storyline of like he made his friendship with Derek, they like did that one episode where Derek tries to plant the bra on him and he gets racially profiled. They did the love triangle with Chantel and Layla, but never really focused on him outside of that.
I thought it was funny too because he was in the Stoods under a mask, and I remember when that band starts, Derek is like the biggest Stoods fan. Like if you go back and watch that episode, the whole time he's like, "Yeah, the Stoods kick ass. Like I love the Stoods." And like every time the Stoods are playing, Derek's the one who's like standing up and like he's super into the Stoods. But somehow doesn't know his best friend is never around when the Stoods are playing. Like his best friend is in the band.
It's like being best friends with Spider-Man. Like,
yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah. There was an episode of Doug, I remember, that they did that too, where he was like the mascot of something and like people didn't know. And it's like they eventually put two and two together. Like, wait, Doug's never around when like the mascot's out there. But yeah, the only real story that Danny really had was him not being cool with JT getting his sister pregnant, Liberty, obviously, and
like I
they
said,
get in that fight.
Always
someone else. Or the Mia thing where he's with Mia and then Mia starts having sex with the football player.
That's about
the
Mia.
NFL player.
That's about Mia.
100%.
Like there's nothing really devoted to him and giving development to his character. So he definitely deserves better. I think we got just two.
Is that Vince in the second to last row? I can't tell because it.
No. That's actually Tiny, who is Vince's brother.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Because I haven't seen a lot of that story. So
yeah.
So I guess they don't have Vince on the thing. But if he was on, like he'd be toxic. He shoots at him.
Yes, absolutely.
But Tiny is actually a good dude, right? Like I remember a little bit. Like he isn't like his brother.
No, and he's like starts off looking like he's just a part of the gang. That's his brother, and he's a part of it. But they do redeem him. Although I just think that they never really focused on him outside of like relationships because he was a smart dude. He was in smart classes. That's how he gets with Shay, which is a great relationship. But I'm gonna say actually Shay is the only one of the first Black characters that I will move up from Deserve Better to You're All Right, but yeah, because they make her a very smart girl. They make her an athlete. She goes through this whole thing where, like I said, she has like a crisis of character where she has to steal money to get this supplement that her parents don't want her to get. She has the whole relationship with Tiny where her parents are very conservative and want her to focus on school so she can't have a boyfriend, and Lola just swoops in and starts dating Tiny while that happens where she can't date Tiny. So there's kind of like a love triangle there. So there's a lot for her that they did in Degrassi The Next Class. So I will move her up from You Deserve Better to You're All Right, but yeah, because she does have crisis of character and they don't really focus on her enough in the earlier seasons of Next Class and stuff. So the only storyline she had in Next Generation is when she is flirting with Mike Dallas, who is right here. Mike Dallas is the first Black character that I will go all the way to great character because in like
Jimmy too. Let's not forget Jimmy.
Oh yeah.
Like Jimmy's there and Liberty as well. But yes, from like
I'm talking about the newer characters because those are like the established characters. But like from the newer seasons, I would say Mike Dallas is the first one African American character.
I can say for him because I haven't seen a lot, but the little bit I have seen. Captain of the hockey team, super loyal guy, loyal to a fault sometimes, but will not double down if he realizes he was wrong. Like I remember him defending some people that didn't deserve it, but then like getting all the facts and then like doing the right thing. Yeah, Joel's like, well, how long are we doing this for? This will probably be about another, I don't know, 15 minutes or so. I don't know. Yeah. We're at a point right now of just rifling through.
Yeah.
But with Dallas, like the main thing I remember from him is that he helps Allie confront the dude who was like hurting her. And Dallas just seems like a stand-up guy who just seems like a good person with good morals. And And I like that he's like the captain of the hockey team and stuff like that. So I don't know a lot about him, but the little bit I have seen, I could understand why you'd have him up in a great character.
Yeah, they gave him a full redemption arc where he starts off as like the heel when he's introduced in season 3, a part of the hockey team, and then they gave him the redemption arc through his relationship with Allie, where they really fully redeem him because he's the best guy that Allie was with. And then we have 2 more. I would say one's Afro Latino, and then one is African American, and they are also 2 really good characters. Dave, he was just like the black JT for a while, so I'm gonna put him in great character. I wish they would have done more for him, and I think if they would have done more, he'd be known as the Degrassi, one of the Degrassi goats. But 3 tenors, his relationship with Allie is like the first good relationship that Allie had, but of course he ruins that by cheating on her. And some of those little faults is the reason why I won't put him in GOAT, because they don't also focus on him as well.
Yeah, I love the 3 tenors. Got a soft spot for those guys. Dave was good. Yeah, I thought it was weird that when he tased Wesley to like get in with like some new friends. But then he apologizes. But yeah, I haven't seen a ton of Dave. I mean, I saw a lot of Dave, but not a lot of like what I guess like the important stuff was. Yeah, Wesley. I don't know. I haven't seen enough of him outside of 3 tenors to even know if they did anything with him. And then Connor would be the other one. I know you like Connor a lot.
Oh yeah, I love Connor. Like Connor gives me like life in those later seasons because he's kind of like comic relief, and then he gets with like Jenna, so he kind of redeemed. He kind of gets like, you could see like a different side of him, and you're just really happy for him because he goes through a lot in those early seasons where he's diagnosed with Asperger's. He's stealing underwear from girls at the school
for his app.
Yeah, he starts stranger danger with the girl on the old lady on the game and stuff. So to finally see him get a girl and a pretty one at that, you're like, man, Connor be giving you the claps. Like, I'm happy for him and stuff. So Connor is up there. And then I think we have one final Afro Latino here, Marisol Lewis, who I will say has some of the best lines when she's in the series. I'm gonna go, man. I really want to go great character because she has some hilarious lines. Like, all I will say is that Jensen, go out of your way when we're done with this and just put Marisol Lewis quotes on YouTube, and they have a whole compilation of her just like playing, like she does, like she's in film class and Eli's behind her and she makes a movie about lip gloss and Eli makes this artsy film that the teacher doesn't like, and he's like, well, it's better than a movie about lipstick, and she just turns around and says, lip gloss, emo boy. Like she just curves mad people. I love her.
Yeah, I don't know enough about her because like most of what I've seen from her, she's more so just like a background character. So
yeah, because she's not focused on enough and doesn't have her own stories. Her stories are always about really like either Katie and then her relationship with Mo. That's why I'm putting her in You're All Right. But yeah, if she got more focus, she honestly would be up there at like the top of the great character list because she has some awesome lines. Miss Deserve Better. Let's just throw her up here. Terry McGregor.
Yep. The epitome of Deserve Better. Was a main character, was a well-liked character, was a part of like the main friends group on the show. And then I don't know what season it was. Like, it wasn't very late into the show. She gets basically knocked out by Rick and goes into a coma, and we never see her again. So yeah, there's really not a whole lot more to say. She was a model during the show. Her dad, I felt so bad for her dad during all that. Yeah, it was just really sad. Like she's the quintessential Deserve Better character on this show.
The queen of Deserve Better. Ali Bandari, like I said, the Bandaris was owning stuff for like seasons, like all the double-digit seasons of Degrassi Next Generation. The Bandaris take over, but Ali Bandari, I feel, is Manny Santos 2.0, where like they introduce her in like season 8 where she's Sav's little sister who has to dress conservative because of their parents and always gets changed right in front of the school into like
Yeah.
something more glamorous and stuff. She has the whole relationship with Johnny DeMarco where she's going for the older guy. She has sex at the ravine. She runs away and to him at his school after she gets in trouble at school for like cyberbullying Holly J. There's all of her relationships from like Drew to the guy in France that like beats her. There's the on again off again with Dave Turner, and then eventually her great relationship with Dallas. She was one of the smartest girls in the school. She gets a scholarship to Cambridge. Like she was goals. Ali Bandari is in my opinion the later season GOAT because she doesn't have all the faults of Claire.
Yeah, I agree with all that. She's like the most important character probably on the. I'm not putting her past Shawn. Don't get that.
No. I'm twisted. Sorry. I was just trying to put her ahead.
Yeah, well,
I'm putting Shawn ahead of JT, and
then part of it. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I like this order here. Yeah.
I'm actually putting Emma and Claire at the bottom of GOATs.
But yeah, I mean, you can't really argue with that. Ali just super important to the show, and I mean, obviously Sav was a big part of the show too. So it was cool to see like a brother and a sister who, you know, were both heavily featured. And then Sav,
I would put great character. What do you think?
Yeah, I put Sav in great also. He doesn't really have a whole lot of faults, to be honest. He's just kind of dorky.
Yeah, kind of lame. His main relationship is with Anya. I'm gonna say you're all right, but yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, she'd be closer to great character for me if she wouldn't have like faked her pregnancy and stuff. Like there was some kind of toxic stuff that she did that
you didn't see the stuff where she gets on like coke and stuff.
No, I have seen that. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah.
She winds up like throwing away like the sand that like her parents had given her like forever ago, and she replaces it with coke. Yeah, but then she joined the army.
Yeah. So that's why she's all right, but yeah.
And I like that she was a LARPer. I thought that was kind of cool. She did like the live action role playing stuff with that other teacher and stuff. But yeah, I'm with you. She's close to a great character. Well, here's the thing. I don't know enough about some of these people in the great character list that you've put up there that like I don't like in comparison to like the dude in between Eli and Mila. Like, I don't know anything about that guy. So I don't know. It's hard for me to compare like that versus like a character I know really well, like Anya. But I think this probably makes sense how it is.
Jenna, where do you say she
is? So the thing with Jenna is she isn't toxic. She's just the most annoying character on the show. So like, I don't know. I don't think she even deserves better, but I don't think she's even,
You're all right, but you're annoying. I would say you're all right, but yeah.
Yeah, you got to just put her there. She's the most annoying person on the whole damn show. Her singing and just everything. I felt bad for her with like the Casey stuff when they get pregnant and all that. Like it's not like she's like this unredeemable character or anything like that. She actually has a really good heart for the most part. She's just ultra annoying, and her singing just really annoys me. So,
speaking of KC, I think KC is honestly deserved better because they kind of like he doesn't graduate with the rest of the class because he has to leave when his dad gets out of jail. And he messes up a lot because he drops in Claire for Jenna, then he gets Jenna pregnant, and he's not good throughout that entire experience, even from the baby being born, because after the baby's born, he just leaves Jenna at home to take care of the baby. He's going out with his friends. Then he gets a job just to get away from her, and then he cheats on her with Marisol at the job, and that leads to them eventually breaking up and Jenna blasting him in the head with a guitar. So what do you say?
Yeah, I'd say deserve better too, because there was definitely toxic aspects to him, but there was also the whole thing where the basketball coach is like trying to molest him and stuff, and like I mean there was some he went through some stuff.
I'm
as
gonna
well.
throw his counterpart here, Derek that we talked about earlier, because he has a cool character. Like when he questioned Liberty about giving the baby up for adoption, and we find out he's adopted, and him and Danny had a good relationship, and then they just completely drop him pretty much.
Yeah, the best thing about him on the entire show was his date with Emma, where he's talking about pro wrestling and eating venison, and she's a a vegetarian and stuff, and they just have nothing in common. But she totally curves him. It was kind of messed up. Like he's just talking about how much he loves this like one wrestler that they see his like t-shirt in the mall, and he's talking about comic books. He's like being himself and like talking about the stuff he actually likes, and she's like rolling her eyes at him the whole time because she thinks he's a loser. But yeah, Derek definitely deserved better.
Johnny DeMarco, I feel like they gave him like the Jay Hogarth booking and then never gave him the redemption arc.
Yeah, he's a tough one too.
I almost am close to put him in. Why did they even try? But I'll say deserve better.
I'll say deserve better too. He would have been toxic AF if it wasn't for the end. Just like Jay, but not to the same level of Jay. It just
he didn't fully redeem himself in that alley relationship. He did a lot wrong. It wasn't until after the relationship he did right by.
And he was taking like their like lame street fights with Spinner and like putting them on YouTube and stuff.
And
like
getting fucked up.
Yeah, Spinner kept beating him up every time. Like, yeah, I'd put him in deserve better as well.
This guy is a Dooch Jonah. He's more
don't even know who that is.
The late seasons, and I'm just like, why did they even try? He gets with like a lot of girls, and he's just so lame and boring. Marco,
I think I saw him in like a band or something. Yeah, Marco. Okay, this is an interesting one.
I'm gonna go great character.
Yeah, he's either great or GOAT. I mean, he's way up there.
I'm not gonna say GOAT because, like I said last week, they never gave us the closing arc.
Yeah, he does become a teacher though and stuff at the end. We never get the arc of like his dad being okay with him being gay, which was like a giant story for him.
Your favorite, Declan.
He was another one that I went. It was a roller coaster. Like he was the douchiest guy on the show when he got there. And then I wound up liking him eventually. And then I wound up really not liking him because he was like trying to like buy off Holly J. And like when he wouldn't get his way, he'd just try to pay his way out of things. And so it's weird because he's a balance between toxic and I'd say all right, but yeah, I guess because like he's not the. I mean,
I hate him. I hate him for his face, but yeah, you're character.
Like he doesn't deserve better, and he's definitely a bigger character than a why did they even try? But he wasn't like, I don't know. He didn't do it, and he never did anything on the show that was like completely deplorable or despicable. Like he did some stuff that was lame and douchey, but like he wasn't on the level of the people we have in the toxic category. So. Yeah.
His sister, Fiona, I feel like they did give a full redemption arc to. I kind of want to go, you're all right, but she was really bad in season 9.
Yeah, I can't go any higher than where she's at there. Yeah, because it's the same kind of. She once again, she didn't do anything like despicable ever, but she did a lot of stuff that was really, really, really unlikable, even to the point of like kissing her own brother just because she was so jealous that he had a girlfriend. She's an example of someone that's just way too needy. Like somebody who like always needs attention no matter what, like cannot not be in a relationship, like just very, 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 very needy to the point where like Declan is even like, look, you got to live your own life. Like I can't keep just doing everything for you and fixing all your problems for you. Like I have to have my own life too. And, but there was also things that made you feel bad for her too. I mean, like there was the her getting beat by her boyfriend and the alcoholism and all this stuff. So, I mean, she wasn't a character that I hated, but I there was a lot of stuff that was unlikable at her at the beginning, especially.
I'll throw Imogen in there. Even though I really like Imogen, I feel like they never really focused on her too much. It either like when she eventually becomes like a main character, they focus on the relationship with Jack. And they give her a lot of character development in the relationship with Fiona, where we find out her dad has like dementia. We find out she had a bad relationship with her mother that left them because she's like a workaholic. But like outside of the Fiona relationship, they never really focus on her enough. So I'll put her just below great character in You're All Right. But yeah, what about Holly J? Let's do Holly J here.
She's another one. She starts out ultra toxic.
Yeah.
She's the sister of the never seen but always talked about Heather Sinclair. She winds up also getting some sort of disease towards the end.
Yeah.
Also, there's like so many of the characters on this show, but like, yeah, I mean, she was really, really unlikable. But then when she got with Declan, you started kind of feeling bad for her. And then like she had like a crush on Spinner, and she went from super toxic to like a good person. It just took like seasons worth of like progression to get there. So I don't know. Where do you sit on her? Because like I don't think she's a GOAT character, but she's like might be, you know,
she's borderline great, but it's just like she was so like it was like Paige up to 10. What Paige was in season 1 up to like 10, especially the way she treated Anya and Mia. Mia, I'll just put deserve better. Like they had a great character. I just don't think Nina is capable of playing that character. I think it was just bad casting where they had a great character. They just didn't have the actress to deliver the character.
Yeah, and she also like her main stuff was like, I mean, the main reason she was on the show was to have a character that was raising a kid. Like, and her relationship with the guy who was I can't remember his name.
Her baby daddy,
Jane's brother. That really didn't wind up going anywhere, really. And
speaking of Jane, real quick, I want to put her next to Terry McGregor because they are spiritual sisters and deserve better they completely ruined Jane in season 9 with the Declan cheating on Spinner with Declan. Darcy, what about Darcy? This is an interesting one.
Yeah, she's another one where like she was, for my liking, a little too goody right at the beginning, but then she kind of, I don't know. I didn't like the Friendship Club because they were actually like secret, like douchebags. Like it was like they were using that club to like almost seem like they were good people, but in reality, like they hated anybody who wasn't exactly like them. That kind of stuff bugs me. I don't know. She helped Spinner a lot because Spinner like couldn't, all his friends ditched him and stuff. So
I'm gonna go. You're all right, but because she like for everything good you could say about her, there's a lot of bad. But I feel like season 7, she's like the star of it, like getting like the date rape, she was drugged, and then she goes through a whole like mental issue because of it, nearly commits suicide, and her acting was tremendous there. So I'm gonna say
she almost got Snake fired because she accused him of doing stuff to her and she was lying about it.
And Carlos telling us that Mia's baby daddy is Lucas.
Yes, good call. That guy was pretty irrelevant.
He's not even worth being there. Owen is the one that tries to give Ali $50 to give him a head in the basement.
Toxic.
He's also the one that Ali that Anya starts doing drugs with, even though he's against it. He's a lot of they never really redeemed him.
He's the one, right, where he's talking to I think he's talking to Anya at like the dot or something, and he's like, any girl would be lucky to get with me. So she like turns to a table of girls and she's like, hey ladies, this guy right here is saying that any of y'all would be lucky, and they're all like weirdo, like they like don't like him at all. That guy's a loser.
Toby, this is interesting. He does take advantage of a lot of different people. He does get attention. I'm gonna say you're all right, but
like I said last week, Toby Isaacs prays on the weak. He's a guy who waits till you're at your most vulnerable to make a move. Well, an often forgotten story though. Remember when Holly J actually gets a crush on him and then he turns her down
What
that
a
was pretty
dumbass.
badass. No, but
What
that
a
was pretty
dumbass
badass
stuff.
though.
Yeah,
That,
he wasn't with it.
that was the first time like I was like, damn, Toby, all right, like stand up for yourself over here. Because she was getting close with him, and then she was like telling her friends that he was like groping her and being weird around her, when in reality she was the one putting him in those situations and just didn't want people to know that she liked him. So yeah, I'd say where do we have him at? I like you, but yeah,
you're right, but yeah.
Winds up being like a BattleBots host or something as an adult. So
what
good for him.
What a weird stuff.
Yeah.
The shortest character arc, but one of the best in Degrassi history. We got Cam Saunders, and I'm gonna go all the way to great character because his acting of like we see the mental breakdown of someone that has to go to suicide, and I know you've seen this whole angle. And
yeah, I know it was a good. What's his name again?
Campbell Saunders.
Is it Campbell? That's right. That's why it sounded strange. Campbell. That's right. Yeah, he just wasn't on there very long, but like when he was, it was a really good story. It was sad that he committed suicide.
Absolutely great character arc.
And he was like the best hockey player in the school as like a freshman or whatever too.
Yeah, everybody said he was going to go to the NHL. Like all the other players weren't good as him. Jake is another one I'm going to throw in deserve better because he was like a focal point when he first comes and he's in the relationship with Claire. And then after that relationship go through, they never really focus on him, but he does smoke weed and film. And I'm going to say he deserves better because he had a lot of funny traits to him, which we got to talk about. Well, Katie is kind of connected to Jake. They go out after the whole Claire thing. I'll go we're like you. You're all right, but yeah, with Katie, because she has a lot that she goes through. She has the whole knee where she tries to do drugs to kind of numb the pain, and she has like a whole drug problem. But at first, she's like the school president, and she's the head of the newspaper. Like they gave her a lot of things, and then she just slowly but surely kind of does like a breakdown, and then tries to place the tape of Drew after he slept with her and he loses his virginity, and he's still going out with Bianca, and there's a whole love triangle there. So she's all right, but she does a lot of grimy stuff as well. And Adam, man, Adam should be in great character, but my God, why did they have to take him out? I'm going to put Adam at deserve better, but I don't know what you've seen of Adam. Do you think he deserves to be in that great character?
I got to go deserve better too. It was a great character from the perspective of having a transgender character on a show like this, especially when they did it. I think it's an important character for this show. But they also did him dirty like over and over and over again. It was like you always just felt super bad for Adam. Adam's like this good person and just, winds up dying from texting and driving, basically. Definitely deserved better.
And the whole character was him like not finding girls that accept him for who he is. And then he had Becky as an ex that he was trying to get with and hooks up with Imogen. So they finally gave him like what he wanted, and then they just kill him off.
Well, because it's Degrassi and they, everyone's just going to cheat on everyone. Doesn't matter how good of a person you are. They all just wind up hooking up with each other. Maggie took a shower and came back and we're still here. Yeah, we'll be here for a couple more minutes, Maggie. Thanks for dropping in.
Becky, I'm gonna put you're all right, but yeah, only the but yeah is why did you get with Drew after Adam passed away? So
yeah, the one thing about her that I really know is that she did the right thing by telling everyone that her brother was the one who committed that rape. So that was a good thing that because even though it was her brother and it was a hard thing to do, she did the right thing. So.
Absolutely. Mo, they don't do enough with him. They only do the stuff with him and Marisol. Really, he deserved better because he was a very funny guy. He even becomes a comedian in Next Class.
So yeah, I literally have seen maybe like 5 seconds of him on screen. I know like nothing about that guy.
That's why I'm running through these real quick. Grace is another one where they do give her a lot of character depth, but they never really focus on her until like the latter seasons of Next Class. Uh, let's do Ellie is the final OG that we got here. Where do you think Ellie plays?
I think she's probably a questionable either GOAT or great. I mean, she's way up there, I think. Like she was, her story about her cutting and her being like kind of the original like goth character of the show. She just kept getting done dirty by Craig over and over and over again. That was the one downside to her, to be honest, was that she just wouldn't just see the writing on the wall and just stop messing around with that guy. Like it was clear that he was stringing her along for the whole time. But I like her a lot. I think she was a good character. Her and Marco are really good friends. Her and Ashley are friends during kind of the goth phase and stuff. And even after that, I guess they stay friends too. I don't know. So yeah, she's up there. Her and Jimmy, I thought that was cool with her helping him, like with basically learning how to prioritize art over sports. Cause like he liked art better and he was like finally discovering that and stuff. So Ellie was a great character.
Absolutely. We got Bianca Del Sousa. She's kind of like Alex 2.0, except she doesn't go full lesbian. She has the on again, off again relationship with Drew. I think if they focused more on her and her story, I'd put her up in great characters. But you're all right. But yeah, she does is the one that Drew cheats with to Allie, and she has a lot of like beef and fights with Allie. Then she is kind of like the mistress in the relationship of Drew and Katie. So they always wanted to go to Drew and Bianca, but because of that, that's kind of like the faults against her. Aside from them only really focusing on her when it's about Drew and Bianca.
And she takes over Allie's dance troupe immediately. I thought that was hilarious.
Because she's a much better dancer.
Yes.
Chewie, he's probably the best of the nerd characters that they do in Degrassi. I think he would place up there with like Toby as far as like nerd characters where they don't really focus on him, but there's nothing really wrong with him. Is that they don't really focus on him. He's just, God bless you, he's just a sidekick for Miles, and then they do a little bit with his relationship with Frankie, a little bit with his relationship with Zoe, but he's always a great friend. I just think that he's not a great character.
Yeah, I've only seen his involvement with that whole story about the rape at the party and stuff, like because he wasn't involved in that, but he was like around when it happened, kind of thing, and he was filming a lot of stuff during the party. That's all I've really seen of him.
Riley deserved better.
I don't know if I can go any higher than that. I don't know. I liked Riley. There was like the toxic aspect of him like wanting to fight everybody over kind of like his own kind of insecurities. But I also felt really bad because like he kept trying to tell his mom he was gay, and like his mom just like wasn't having it. I remember there was that one episode he literally takes like all these like magazines with like hunk magazines or whatever, and like puts them all over his room specifically so that his mom will come in and like see them and rearrange his room and like have to accept that like he's into this. And even then she just totally no sells it. He had the anger problems. There's a lot of layers to Riley. I thought he kind of did Zane dirty a handful of times, but like at the end of the day, Riley was a good dude who was just like really confused and just didn't know how to handle being a homosexual, knowing that he was going to get made fun of for it. And that was the balance he was trying to. There was also like he got in a fight with like the lifeguard that one time who was the gay lifeguard who like he had a crush on that. Like even then they were fighting each other because
the more you bring stuff up, I gotta move them up to you're all right, but like I feel like they could have done more, but I wouldn't say he deserved better because he did have a lot of development and he had a very interesting character.
He was a good dude. He just like didn't know how to handle what he was going through for most of the show.
So I know these three characters you know very little about. So Lola is like the star of Next Class.
Yeah, I have no idea who this is.
She comes in like clutch. She's a girlfriend with Tiny, and basically they're on the outs because she uses like this Tinder app to get boys to buy her pizza, and Tiny's not feeling that when somebody like comes and brings the pizza for her. Like she makes up with Tiny then, and then the guy comes with the pizza and he gets in a fight. And then Tiny, because the kid's not from the school, he's the only one that gets suspended, but he was just defending himself and his girl. And they feel like it's because of, Tiny's black. So she does like a whole protest. She's the one in like charge and starts the whole protest to free Tiny. She's a great friend to Shay and Frankie, besides her trying to swoop in on Tiny. That's her only fault. But I would say she's not one of the GOATs, but she's a great character. And then Tristan, I feel like they don't give him enough of a great payoff. I feel if they continued, he would have been like the main character of Next Class. But he's kind of grimy to Miles in like season 1 of Next Class. So I kind of want to say you're all right, but yeah. And then the same with Zoe, where she's kind of like Paige in season 1 meets Holly in season 6, turned up to 10 when she's first introduced, and then they give her the redemption arc. So you're all right, but yeah, and that does it. That is the tier ranking here. So Jensen, any comments on our tier ranking here?
I think it's pretty fair. Like I said, all the Next Class stuff or the next or new class, I gotta roll with your judgment on that, because like the chick with the blue hair just then, like I don't know. I don't know how she compares to like a Liberty or a Jimmy. You know what I mean? Those are pretty almost goat characters. So I don't know. But I think we did a good job with the GOAT category. Like those are the best characters on the show. The people that we have at the top there, as far as like the storylines they were given, the character developments, how much the fan base, loved these characters and stuff and what they meant to the show. And then there's a couple that are real close, like pretty much the first like 5 or so on that great characters, like depending on the right conversation, they could be nudged into the GOAT category. Like there's a few there that it's close.
Out of these, who do you think should be the top of the great character? I'm kind of leaning towards Craig.
Yeah, I could honestly go with any of those people from season 1, except for Paige, because she was probably the most toxic of them. But yeah, Craig I could definitely go with there. Craig, Liberty, Jimmy, any of them. Marco, yeah, those are all great characters.
Who do you think deserves to be at the top if you're all right, but yeah?
Honestly, probably one of the two we have right there, Jay or Alex. I mean, Alex probably Alex.
We got you deserve better.
Yeah, it has to be Terry.
It has to be Terry. Why did they even try? Who deserves to be at the top of why did they even try?
I mean, they all make sense why all these people are where they're at. I mean, you could really pick any of them. I think it's funny we have Angie there though.
Yeah,
because like there really was literally no point, and then they changed her into a completely different character, so it was just pointless.
Then
Toxic AF, like we nailed the top of that. That has to be Rick, and it's just funny seeing Ashley and there with all these people that are like the worst human beings.
Actual crime. It's Ashley Curran, ladies and gentlemen. This is perfect. This went exactly how I thought it would, but that brings us to a close. This will definitely be the longest episode we do on Fightful Overbook, but we went in depth about most of these characters, and even the ones we gave just short sentences about. You learned a lot about the entire spectrum of different students from Degrassi Community School.
Yes, and if you can screenshot this again, we'll I don't know if we did that for the couples one. I remember you doing that last time we did this tier list, but let's get those on Twitter too. Let's get a picture of this, and we'll put this up there for all the Degrassi fans that might have missed the show. They can see our rankings here with all these pictures. This one included a lot more of the characters that like just weren't on the last list for some reason. Like Spinner, for instance. I can't believe he wasn't on the last one we did. It didn't make any sense.
Crazy.
But yeah, I I like how this looks. And then just a reminder to everybody, and starting next week, we'll probably do about an hour or so here of just talking about certain episodes or certain stories or characters or whatever. And then on both of our Twitch channels, we'll jump on right after this show and we'll watch an episode or two with y'all, because we can actually display the show if we're watching it on Twitch. So
exactly.
So that'll be the format going forward.
Next week, you can tune in because we're going to have the great Degrassi GOAT debate, and Jensen representing Spinner and me representing Manny. So you got that to look forward to as an extension of what we did today. Well, an hour conversation of us debating the facts, storylines, and character development of both of those, the two top names that we got in the GOATs, and we're going to decide the number one Degrassi GOAT next week.
Yes. SP3, tell people where to find you. We'll get out of here.
You can find me on the Twitter machine, True Heel SP3. I'll be up on Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel tonight after SmackDown and Rampage for Smack Talk with Dutch Mantel and Rick Ucchino. Speaking of Rick, he'll be our special guest on True Hill Heat 162, True Hill Heat YouTube channel. Go over and subscribe there. Tomorrow, 11:05 a.m. Eastern Time, me and Rick will be a special Valentine's Day themed trivia battle. So check out True Hill Heat 162.
Hell yeah. Y'all can find me on Twitter at @FightTalk_. If you want to use code FightTalk, all is one word, no spaces, on independentwrestling.tv or iwtv.live. Tonight there is AIW and West Coast Pro on IWTV. So two awesome indie shows tonight. And y'all can use my code, and it helps me out when you do that, when you sign up for the platform. Tomorrow we got Fightful Fight Night. It's UFC 271. We got Derek Lewis versus Tai Tuivasa in the co-main. And then the main event is Israel Adesanya, Robert Whittaker, their rematch for the middleweight championship. It'll be myself, Rob Wilkins, your boy Romeo from True Heel Heat, and Sean Ross Sapp is usually there as well. So we'll be hanging out, watching the fights tomorrow. That's UFC Fightful Fight Night, and that's on the main channel, youtube.com/Fightful. I got the Fightful Weekender on Sunday. That's every Sunday. FightfulSelect.com, talking mainly the world of independent wrestling. And if you missed it yesterday, myself and Jeremy Lambert did the Spotlight. That's every Thursday on the main channel for Fightful. And that is available right now if you want to watch it. We talked a whole bunch of stuff like the Jay White and Keith Lee debuts in AEW. We talked Dolph Ziggler in NXT. We talked Nick Gage getting a GCW contract. We talked a whole bunch of stuff. So yeah, y'all can check that out. It's available right now to watch. youtube.com/Fightful. That is the Spotlight every Thursday with myself and Jeremy Lambert. So that's everything I've got.
Right here on Fightful Overbooked, you got later today at 3 p.m. Coexisting with Rob and Maggie. Shout outs to Maggie being in the live chat. Shout outs to Queen of the Ring being in the live chat. Joel, Carlos Hernandez, Sports and Things, who had some great comments during the show. All of you Degrassi fans that came and joined us for this one, we greatly appreciate it. And we'll be back here at 10 a.m. next Friday. I'll be here on Fightful Overbook on Sunday on True Rewind at 5 p.m. with Romeo and Drunk Guy. But stay tuned for more Degrassi dudes.
Yes, we'll see y'all next time. And I love this because whether you're into wrestling or not, I don't know if y'all are finding this show through Fightful Overbooked. I don't know if y'all are just searching Degrassi on YouTube and you're just showing up here. But the fact that we have people in this chat that know what we're talking about is very encouraging. Like, it's awesome to look over and see y'all getting involved in the conversation. So we appreciate y'all, and we'll see you next week, 10 a.m. Eastern, Fightful Overbooked for Degrassi Dudes.